the marshals are ready for action. The drivers are lined up, coming through the final corner. Cars still making their way around the bend now. The lights go green, off they go. We've got Zahir Essa in the front over there. Alongside him, Jordan Sheridan, Leslie Oliphant in a third position. Bashir Jadwat now trying to sneak ahead into third, looks like it. And look how close the Audi is to that Porsche over there. Porsche goes inside, Audi in the middle, Porsche on the outside. You said there was going to be touching.
I told you that's going to be a bit of contact. Brilliant racing. And there's mayhem in the back. Charles Wilkin took the sausage curb, got airborne. I think he's gone into the wall. But that is great racing because that's door to door. I've got no issue with it. But it's quite an interesting little discussion there too, because what's cool for me, it's like, where do you want to be? Do you want to be dominating Pro-Am or do you want to be racing in pros? And I think the cool thing is for guys, he needed to move up, and we know he didn't have there wasn't a second rig, which is why he couldn't. Him and his brother were sharing. But he was dominant in Pro-Am, so he needs to be here. But what I'm enjoying in Pro-Ams, I'm seeing a lot of guys that are like running third, fourth, getting confidence up, building on their racecraft, and then taking that jump. Because when you do come to pros, it's gonna be a big step up. You're gonna find yourself like proper 14th, 15th place, having your battles there. So it's good to see Morgan adapting to racing with a pro season. That's a great overtake move. Turn one is a well-known overtaking spot, obviously. But all of that hard work was done on that exit of that chicane and onto the last corner and down on the straight. So well done.
And now getting another look down the inside is the Porsche. The Porsche has a look down the inside. Yes, he gets it.
Now watch it. If he stays here, watch it. He won't have it. If he stays here, we saw that in the previous race. If he actually just stays on the outside, he can really block off that move because he's ending up on the right-hander coming in. Remember we watched in Pro-Am, it happened twice. I kept on saying, that's a move done. And then the guy ended up being able to come back and defend it. So I'm surprised that Vasaki maybe just couldn't get on the power early enough there, but I thought he was going to be able to secure that and defend that overtake move. But that's a great move. Late on the brakes, committed on the brakes, and enough space to go 2 cars through that corner.
Well, it's that type of corner, isn't it? I mean, you can go in late on the brakes, so you just got to hope for the best that the guy around your outside doesn't exactly turn in on you, and you guarantee to make the position happen.
He's been super consistent. We're back in the field now, back for 12. So we're on board with Zander Ritz having a look at Krobler in the Merc up ahead of him. And it looked like the same thing with Kadile. We know that Merc doesn't seem to be handling that well. That's not a place. No, that's very, very naughty. Zander. Very, very naughty. That's good timing though.
Dives down the inside. Dives down the inside. That was a lunge right there. That was a lunge. That is the very definition of a lunge.
That was the lunge that Tasman probably would have tried to attempt as well.
But you would have pulled it off though. You would have pulled it off.
So I would have gone in a little bit deeper.
Well, speaking of lunging, he's getting lunged at by, looks like Albertine now. Albertine gets the position and Roots might have got some damage there. Let's hope he hasn't got some permanent damage. These cars are quite sensitive. If you do get into a collision like that, it does cause some problems sometimes. Not big problems, but certainly can throw someone off their game. Or
the only damage that's going to happen, top of the podium 1 week and bottom of the list the next week.
Unbelievable. That is racing. That old phrase, that's racing. We've got Ferrari lunges down the inside there. They make contact. Oh my goodness, that's Byron Walker.
I've got no problem with that. Why is he stopping? Don't let him go. It was a great move.
Byron Walker makes contact with the Aston Martin. Oh, this is great. You guys are going to disagree about this one already. I love it.
Getting him back past, he actually did the move. He was up the inside of him and the guy turns into him. I'll watch that again. I promise you.
Byron Walker lunges down the inside, knocks Brent Lindsay-Ray, who's got a 15-second penalty. I was about to ask you what would happen in that situation for you, Tasman. Would you let the guy go past? The Porsche goes sideways there. The 80 car takes evasive maneuvers. Floyd Claessens or Morgan McCall gets past Kieran Patterson, who gets a little bit sideways there. So easy to do in these Porsches. So easy to do. Patterson a little bit further back, but Morgan McCall certainly within striking distance of Quade Claessens. He's going to try and have a look.
Have a look. It's Kieran is all over the back of Morgan.
Oh, here we go. Kieran getting there. Yes.
Morgan made in there. Morgan was on the back of Quade. It looks like he made a bit of a mistake.
Oh, he runs wide. Morgan runs wide. Oh, Kieran gets down the inside now. Who's going to get the line for the next left-hander? Kieran gets the line. Kieran takes the position. And McCall, we were just saying a second ago, McCall looking good, but losing out once again. And this time, though, fair and square.
You know, it's funny. We were saying that's what's been holding Kieran up, and Morgan's been so consistent. There went and made 2 little mistakes, and Kieran's back up front. But I mean, it's like deja vu. We've spoken through this a few times now because that's where he passed him last time as well. So it's like if Kieran can just keep it tidy now and just not make mistakes, like Taz was saying, looks like he's struggling with rear grip. If he can just try and focus and get back on the back of Craig Claassens, I do think he's got the quicker pace because they've fallen back, and every time they've been able to close back on Jet. Jason Webb now all over the back of Junior McCall, so the McCalls are thick in the action at the moment. Alps 7 and Circuit to Catalunya.
Oh, just look at that. Jason Webb, both of them going on the sand there. Jason Webb right over the back bumper of Junior McCall now. The pressure is real as Junior McCall runs ever so slightly wide. They're now going through the very tight complex section here. And
ocular view is that special. Put your binocs on. Of things.
Craig Claassens has made more overtakes than anybody else this race, but he's
Yeah,
still in
but
the same
I'm
position.
120.
No, Kieran Patterson has made some.
Kieran Patterson, yeah.
Quaid's been chilled.
Yeah.
So that's it. Zaire crossing the line for the win. Jeez, we forgot about
That's
it.
so uneventful. It's so uneventful. He's so far ahead.
12 seconds, not bad. Good racing. Yeah. Second, Jordan. Listen, I loved the first 2 laps of this race. Good to see Jordan. He knew he would do it. Real race experience. Putting the elbows out and telling Zaire, bud, I'm here to battle you. But credit to Zaire, eh?
Yeah, unbelievable. Cool heads prevailed. And Zaire Essa did what he needed to do. The pressure that guy had to withstand the first couple of laps and still to get away like that. Well done, team. The guys are all flashing their lights. Bashir Jadwat crosses the line in 3rd place. He's happy with that. Jordan Shedid, of course, in 2nd. Ace, for me, a staggering result considering he's in an Audi.
my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me in.
Telling you now this payback. Ask him now what's saying. I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. All these men gonna zone out. And all these men gonna tell you what I did and they twist and they bust till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move from my code. So finally back in my home. I'm working, I start off this one. Had me a drum. Dance to my phone, now just leave it there. All in, can't beat me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great trap and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy, no way. Let's go, settle down.
And we are back for round 8 at Hungaroring here in Hungary. Welcome, folks. The action continues in the ATK Pro Series. And of course, the ATK Pro Series is brought to you by Kyalami 9 Hour, Assetto Corsa, and Motorsport South Africa. Our sponsors are AMD, Elgato, Corsair, and this week, Logitech joins us as well. Now, if you've just missed the racing, you would have seen that we've just finished our Pro-Am race. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on YouTube at the moment. The action was thick and fast. And there were a couple of red flags that got raised as well. But the Pro category starts in the next 20 minutes or so. But first, before we get to that, I would like to introduce to you guys some people in our virtual commentary box. And for the first time today, joining us is Tasman Pepper. Welcome back, Tasman.
Thanks, guys. How's it been?
So far, so good. Lots of action. You missed out on absolute carnage in the first heat, as I'm sure Marius is going to point out to you in a second.
No, I'm saying nothing about that first race. It was all technical nonsense and a red flag. But anyway, listen, I'm hungry for good race action. Just well, we are in Hungary at Hungaroring. I've had some chocolate cake because we can't celebrate with champagne because I know we can. It's lockdown. We do our own thing. But I'm looking forward to a cracker pro race. Taz, we're obviously chatting about how technical and difficult this track is from an overtaking perspective. Very much like Barcelona 2 weeks ago. Even less places to get the moves done. And it is about playing a patient game over here. Track conditions normally super hot this time of the year in Hungary, so I'm expecting to see some interesting things happening tire-wise, like 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, well, like you guys said, apparently it was carnage in the first race, so it makes sense if the track doesn't really allow for overtaking and stuff like that, and obviously all the guys are getting impatient and making silly mistakes, but I mean, as a racing driver, you don't always want to sit and wait, and you do get a little bit impatient when you can't get past someone. So I get their frustrations, but yeah, hopefully in the pro race we'll see some better racing.
Well, these guys got impatient before the third corner earlier on, and we saw some massive carnage leading to a restart in the race. And you know, I love watching racing for the action, but I think we might have got a fair helping of action in that first race. We're going to look at the standings now to see where all the drivers are in the pecking order. Of course, as far as seeding goes, this is yesterday's seeding, and this is where the guys qualified for the seeding running into qualifying. Leslie Oliphant for the first time at the top spot. We know he's got the pace. He's always had the pace. Now finally putting that pace into play. Bashir Jadwat over there in second position, and Quaid Claessens in third. Zahir Essa right behind him. But Jordan Shedder further down in 9th position. That's strange. I thought that Jordan Shedder would have been our fastest.
I think this is just the names, though, isn't it? I mean, yeah, so Jordan was our fastest seeding. This is city driver. So Jordan was the only guy yesterday to drop into the 41s. I think he did a 41.9.
Correct.
Everyone else was like mid 42s. But I'm just having a look at something here because I was pretty sure that that Jason Murphy was actually in the Pro-Am race. Yet I see him on the list here.
Yeah,
so,
I think there might be an issue with this list over here.
There might be one or two little things wrong, but we'll figure that out once we see the cars actually line up.
Yeah.
But listen, what was interesting for us, I mean, we see it's dominated by Porsches right up at the top. But I just think they might find themselves struggling here if the conditions are. We know Pro-Am actually ran into the evening, not the case now. This is going to be like normal daytime conditions. And I think the Porsches could find themselves struggling with a grip perspective. We know the Audi is a bit better in terms of its tyre wear, which is good news for Jordan and that pace that he showed. But the question is, like you and I spoke about it during Pro-Am, the guy's also just doing enough to qualify.
Yeah,
so a lot of the guys in pros don't want to show too much. We spoke about the fact a lot of the guys are part of teams. So they're going to work different strategies during seeding, trying to find what setup's going to work best. So like we've seen, you can't actually read too much into that seeding run. What we do know is we're a lineup of proper, serious drivers here, guys that are deserving of pro status. And we've seen great racing from them 2 weeks ago in Barcelona, and I expect more of the same in Hungary.
Well, for sure, we can't expect the guys to be the same as we saw in the Pro-Am category. I think the pro guys are often 2 seconds a lap faster, and when you start pushing a car that much faster, new characteristics start to show up. And this circuit here does punish a car that hits the bumps too hard, specifically the Porsches. So I'm keen to see if the front-running Porsches are going to be able to stay out front, because certainly the circuit does punish any sort of bad behavior if you even so much as sniff at those big curbs over there, especially through the chicane section.
Yeah, I think for us, it's pull the driver list, because it's all wrong. We've got Benjamin Lodger, we've got, like Richard van Colle, I think is in this race. I don't see him on this list over here. So that information is going to confuse people. But I think maybe good to go and have a look at where we're standing championship-wise. It's round 8. There are 12 rounds that we're looking at. The guys do get to throw away 2 of their worst rounds. And I know like 2 weeks ago, Barcelona, we were dealing with load shedding. So for a lot of guys, that became their immediate throwaway around. Guys like Jason Upsmeyer, who didn't get to race. We see he's obviously dropped down a few positions, sitting in the top 10. But I mean, he should be way higher up. He's going to drop 5 positions because of missing that race. But Tasman, we spoke about it. When you got to throw away 2 races, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a first, a second, or a third that you're throwing away. It's going to affect the leaderboard quite dramatically. Whereas there are some guys that had bad races. Jordan Sherritt, prime example. He had those 2 nightmares with one he couldn't log in, but he's moved up 6 places. So expect him to be right up at the top when it comes to a round 11 final round happening. I think the top 10 guys obviously qualify for the Kyalami 9-hour session. So a lot to play for.
Yeah, the top 10 guys certainly do qualify for that 9-hour finale at the end of the year, and these guys have all to play for at the moment. Making up the top 10 from the top 10, we got Jason Abschmeyer, who has shown way more potential and way more pace and should certainly be up a little bit higher. You did mention that he had some issues at the previous round 2 weeks ago, and just in front of him is Charles Wilkin. Unfortunately, Charles having to start from the pit lane today because of a penalty that from an incident that happened 2 weeks ago. Staying there just in front of him for Sachi Sherritt, the first of the Sherritt brothers, and at least Jordan Sherritt, at least the eldest of the Sherritt brothers. But I think Sherritt is on a charge to the top. I mean, if there's someone to watch out for today, it most certainly is Jordan Sherritt.
I mean, if he starts winning again and starts scoring those big points, he stands a big chance of actually winning the overall championship, because of the fact that he's got those 2 rounds that he can drop that are 0 pointers, Where Essa, he's got a first, and what's the worst he's got is a second or a third or whatever it may be. So he's got a lot more points to drop than Jordan does, but Jordan still needs to start winning races to still outperform Essa in the end of the championship.
Yeah, obviously as well. I mean, the Pro-Am round we've just seen, those points haven't been calculated. That'll be done. So that's not what's reflecting at the moment. That'll all be rebooted after this race. So we'll see a couple of people moving around up the points position as well. But yeah, I mean, this is man, I don't know. We need to see some things being happening up front in terms of rattling the cage of Zaire Essa, and we know that's possible. And Leslie Oliphant showed again 2 weeks ago. He had great pace at Barcelona, and he's looked really fast here as well. So I think qualifying is going to be interesting, because we're going to sort of see the true colours coming out. Because what we've had before that, I think guys have been sandbagging a little bit, and they know they just need to qualify for pros, and then I think it's going to be gloves off come now.
Well, gloves off is exactly what we can look forward to shortly. The racing is about to start here at the Pro Series, ATK Pro Series, of course, brought to you by ATK and Kyalami 9-hour. We're going to look now at we're looking now at the driver list over here, and this is what happened yesterday. This is Jordan Sherritt on the top spot there in the seeding Wow, what a drive from him. Just incredible. But further down, it's nice to see guys like Brent Lindsay Ray in the top 30. Richard Van Colle also in the top 30. Jason Gray. Craig Ecote, who did a fantastic job in the Pro-Am category before. And then Byron Walker and Sean Mumford also in the mix there. Sean Mumford specifically one of the guys to watch out for. I think he's going to have some good race pace. So lots and lots of interesting things happening here. Bruno Cadilli, the first of the Mercedes guys, in 12th position. And Jason Webb, the other Mercedes, in 14th. Also Jason Webb, one of the guys with good race pace. The McCall brothers in the mix now firmly. And Marius, what an impressive turn. Junior McCall giving his brother a bit of a hard time here today. And before he actually outqualified his brother today, just 2 positions down in seeding so far.
Yeah, I think we saw that though. I mean, it's one thing. We just chatted now with Aldo Bellingham, who finished 3rd in Pro-Ams, who'd been racing quite a couple of rounds in Pros and made the call to rather slot himself into Pro-Am, where instead of running mid-pack and getting involved in incidents in the Pros, you end up running more towards the front, build up some race confidence, and then come back up into Pros. And we've seen that with Junior. He was pretty dominant in the Pro-Ams, let's be honest. And when he got into Pros, it's like, hello, this is where the real boys play. So this is good. I mean, it's one thing having that pace in qualifying, but it's being able to deliver that in the race. So where he's used to finding himself top of the pile, he's now sitting midline. But I mean, Morgan has shown that extra experience, having raced more in Pros, and has been finishing above Junior every single round since Junior qualified up in Pros. So look, don't worry about what you see. I don't expect Zaire Essa to be 6th. I think he's going to be right up at the top. This is where the real stuff happens right now.
The real stuff about to take place, folks. And as Marius says, watch out for Zaire Essa, watch out for Jordan Shedder. We're going to see some action shortly as the pros make their way to the start line for the qualifying. We'll be right back after this break. Ladies and gentlemen, straight into qualifying. Oh, we already have a collision straight away. That's Miller there getting taken out by a Porsche. And these guys are taking it very seriously today. This is just qualifying, and already the action starts, Marius, as we go on board with the younger of the 2 Shedder brothers.
I thought I was watching a replay from some race a few weeks back. I'm like, hey, this is qualifying, Oaks. Why are you running into each other? You've got 18 minutes to sort stuff out. But Tasman, welcome to the action at Hungaroring. Man, we're going to have a lot to talk about in Monday's incident report.
It's qualifying. For goodness sakes, guys, keep it together. What are you racing for in qualifying?
Oh, man. Look, we're happy. Sunshine. We're actually talking about this. The track's quite interesting in terms of its its layout. It's not used very often, so I doubt a set of course in the simulation will be able to replicate what happens in the real world. But when the guys do go here on race weekends, it's a very dusty track, so lap times during qualifying tend to plummet. So the guys all set their fastest laps as late as possible because of that. But I mean, we're never going to see those conditions here. But what you see now on your screens is pretty much how it would look if you were in Hungary this time of the year. Hot conditions, perfect conditions, no excuses to set fast lap times. But I think with a 50-minute race, there's going to be some carnage on tyres with 10 minutes to go, without a doubt.
Well, we're on board now with Wesley Hampson, Wezza as they call him, the Twitch streamer, one of the more popular Twitch streamers in South Africa in the Lexus. Wezza has been putting in the laps lately, and let's see if that can translate into pace. Marius, we were mentioning earlier on in the Pro-Am race, we saw that the Lexus is very fast in the infield section, but even on the straight, even on the short 1 kilometer straight, the Lexus really does suffer. The drivers have been saying it feels a little bit sluggish, to be honest.
Well, that's the frustrating thing. It was Wentworth that did so well towards the end. I mean, he was showing really good pace. It looked like it had looked after its tyres really well as well. But that's what's frustrating at a circuit like this, because you've got this technical, fast-flowing section, and the Lexus looks amazingly set up and stable through there. Very good car to stop and turn. But it doesn't help you if you can't overtake in any of those places, which you can't. So you do all this hard work, get right in the back of the car, come out that very, very patient final corner where you've really got to wait to get on the power. And by the time you look ahead of you, the guys are halfway down the straight already. So I think it's going to be frustrating for guys like Wesley Hampson in the Lexus. They're going to have good lap times here and maybe be okay in qualifying, but difficult to find a place to overtake.
Yeah, place to overtake. There's not many of that here on this circuit here in Hungary. Wesley Hampson now currently sitting in 12th position, still trying to achieve a lap. Cody Sherritt goes into first, with Leslie Oliphant currently in second position. Behind that, Bashir Jadwat, but these are the first of the laps that the guys are going to be doing. So it's still early days now, but with 15 minutes of qualifying to go, I think things are going to hot up in the last 5 minutes, because now we've got a real mix of guys up the front of the field.
Yeah, listen, these are those corners we're talking about. I said to you during Pro-Ams, I actually love the circuit because you've got this fast and flowing bit, and then it's really cool when they almost stop you before you get onto, well, the straight's good at a K long just on, where they really stop you, and you've got to be so patient on that final corner because you want to get on the power, and you can't, because it's a corner that goes on forever. So that type of patience is crucial, and it makes all the difference whether you need to be going defensive at turn one or not, is the drive you get out of that final corner.
Yeah, that final corner is insanely difficult, but insanely important. As you say, it's a long sweeping right hand, and some of these corners here are really sacrifice corners. They're patience corners. They're sections where, as we see now, Leslie Oliphant making his way into the last turn here, goes wide, tucks it in tight into the right hander now, and now he's got to wait. Start applying the throttle gently, maybe try and get the car a little bit rotated, and then flat on the power all the way down the main straight. A very short straight this is, about 1 kilometer long, but the drivers quickly get up to 6th gear and then bang it down all the way down to 1st gear for this very tight right-hander here. We saw some carnage happen on the first lap, but Leslie Oliphant, no issues around that very tight corner over there. Now opens it up a little bit downhill now to the to the left-hander, where I think a lot of mistakes can happen because it's downhill. It's so easy to miss your mark and run all the way downhill. But again, Leslie Oliphant looking like he's a man on a mission. No issues so far in 3rd position.
Taz was actually really nice going on board there with Leslie. A lot of the other guys we saw going that final turn and actually attacking the inside far too early, instead of waiting and doing a later apex to give you as much straight line on that exit onto that straight. But so many of these corners, like that turn 2 Ernest was talking about, you can go side by side to their 2 cars, but that's where a bit of race strategy comes into it as well, because you can easily position your car in such a way that the car's completely compromised on the exit. Is Taz still alive? Okay, sorry, I was asking Taz all the beautiful questions and she's gone. We'll get Taz back on. But I mean, Ernest, what you were talking about there, remember in our Pro-Ams we were commentating about the guys just seem to be going in far too early into that final turn, and then they compromise their drive, their exit on the way out. So Leslie Oliphant showing us the right way to go around it. But I did mention that Zaires is some guy that you're not going to find him sitting down in 6th place from seeding, that I think there was a lot of, I don't want to show my cards too early on and have a look. He's already going to drop to 42.6. but that is way off of the time that we know Jordan Sherritt can do, and he hasn't even put a lap out there yet. So he's waiting to set up a lap time. And I mean, Jordan was 41.9, so that's
Unbelievable.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. 41.9 is world record pace. So, I mean, that is just a shatteringly fast time. Jordan Sherritt is a world-class sim racer. I mean, he's also raced internationally in cars, and I've seen him compete now in a couple of e-races, and he's just done fantastically well. Another driver that's also making a name for himself is Jason Webb in the Mercedes-Benz over there. And at the moment, the second of the Mercs, but he's not going to be content with second place as he winds his way through the sweeping corners there. Jason using his drifting experience to get the car rotated, and also using his drifting experience to get those slip angles dialed in. It does seem to me that these cars do like a little bit of slip angle, and Jason has been working on that this week to try and get the car rotated a bit more, because we know that the Porsches are just a little bit faster. He's faster in a Porsche himself, so he's a little bit frustrated in the Merc, but still trying to get the best possible result here at Hungaroring.
Yeah,
Why did he end up choosing the Merc if he was so excited? He's so happy with Porsche.
Now, he wanted a front engine setup because he's used to a front engine setup. But, if you drive these cars back to back, it's easy to figure out which one is the fastest. And unfortunately, the Porsche is just a fantastic little car. And the guys in the Mercedes have to struggle a little bit on certain circuits. Going into the second half of the season, the Merc might come into its own, but even here today, I think the Porsche, despite its inability to stay on curbs, is actually going to be quite fast if the Porsche drivers can keep it on the circuit.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you brought that up again, because I mean, people who might be joining us now don't realize that these guys that make a car choice beginning of the season to race all 12 rounds, and I mean, if everyone was taking flipping Porsches, it'd be a one manufacturer series. It'd be damn busy with the cup, and that's not what we want. But the bit that I am a little bit frustrated with, I think, with the Assetto Corsa and the balance of performance, that whole balance of performance is brought in so that you don't have cars dominant at a circuit, but that everyone runs on a match. Now, what the guys can do, they are able to monitor that and adjust it per circuit. The game obviously can't, because that's preconditioned and pre-built into it. So that's the problem. And what we've seen happening is that some cars are heavily drilled at certain circuits, and the Merc being one of them. It gets to Monza and then it's a great car. Whereas the Porsche seems to just be pretty consistent wherever we go. And Zaire and them moan about the tire wear and.
But they never seem to be losing pace though. That's the thing. It's like they're moaning about the car so much, but the fact of the matter is they're still winning and they're still in the front all the time. So I think it would be nice to maybe see, I don't know, in the upcoming championships, maybe the guys should draw out of a hat, what car they should drive for the season or whatever the case is, because otherwise we're always going to see a repeat of what we're seeing now. The Porsche is always going to be the dominating car.
Yeah, there are ways to add ballast, there are ways to add BOP in-game, and I know that there are discussions around possibly in the future maybe doing something along those lines, but for now, you've got to play with the rules that you're given, and the guys that made the choice for the Porsche, they made the right choice. I've competed in some races like this before where you get given one chance, you got to make that choice, and you try and make an educated guess, but you only find out later in the race that guess was right or wrong. And I think some of these guys only find out late in the season that they made a mistake. Guys like Essa, however, has done research. He has done competitive racing in the Porsche, and I'm sure he knew going in that the Porsche was going to be a dominant force, and he dialed himself into that car. As we can see, he's doing it again now, currently at the top spot with a 142.5, the fastest second and third sector.
I wouldn't even worry about it, because Jordan's sitting in the pits, he's finishing his coffee, he's letting the guys all get excited.
Why is he not on track? What is going on?
Is he and his brothers, are they sharing a steering wheel now? What's the story?
No, he doesn't need to. There's 8 minutes to go. You don't have the problems like in normal racing where you've got an out lap, you've got a qualifying lap and an in lap. The other guy goes out, he makes one mistake, he reboots and he's in the pits. So, I mean, that's something we've mentioned a few times we'd like to see change. So 8 minutes essentially in the real world is not a lot of time, but in the simulation world it's plenty. So expect him to go out on pits and out on track in the next minute and put the car on the top step.
Well, your words aren't cold yet because Sherritt is currently on track. He's making his way onto the main straight now, and he is on a hot lap. He's ready for action, going for it. He's going to go for that first position, but let's see if Zaire Essa has got anything to say about that.
But it's just picking up on what Taz was saying. I mean, we've always toyed with that idea. Imagine the guys arrive, especially like Formula One. I'd love to see Lewis Hamilton racing a car that isn't the best car, because he's a great driver, but he's also always been in the best flipping car. But in cases like this, the guys obviously have dialed themselves in. They're doing the laps. They're getting themselves set up and eking out the best setup in their car to be as competitive as possible. So that's fun, I think, as a final race, end of the season. Here it is. Let's go and swap cars and see how you guys get along. But I think the difference is when SRO runs like the Intercontinental GT Challenge, of which the Kyalami 9 Hour is one of the events, they are able to tweak that balance of performance per race, per circuit. And that's what makes the difference, whereas we are not really doing that with the Pro Series now. It's pretty much standard. The BOP is determined by a set Corsa, and we're not making any adjustments of it. And I think that's a change that we can make in terms of the ATK Pro Series going forward.
Yeah, indeed, 100%. And that is something that is currently under discussion as we look at Jordan Shedder with a shatteringly fast lap. He's able to dial in and get onto a hot lap immediately. And he's had no issue. As he said, he was literally, remember those old 80s movies where they always threw the cup of coffee out the window before the cops go to the car chase? I feel like Shedder just did that now. He literally threw his coffee down and said, let me just go get pole position quickly and sort these guys out.
What he wouldn't have liked was exiting, I think it was turn 5, and there's some car on the side trying to...
It was McCall.
It was McCall. Is he going to flip and come back? He's like, might have jumped in traffic. So I don't think that would have helped Jordan too much. But
Shedder goes into first. Shedder goes into first, easily goes into first place there. 0.2 of a second, Marius. Almost 2.5 tenths of a second.
I would park.
Guys, you need to watch his lap. He's using all the track he possibly can. I don't think is there even track limits on this.
There are track limits. We discussed it earlier on.
I don't know, because he's using everything plus more if you look at it.
But Taz, that's what we're actually talking about. There definitely are some places, if you watch what they've done through the chicane in particular, they don't really worry about where you go, because if you do cut a straight line, you hit a big sausage curb, so that's kind of limiting you anyway. But this is the tricky thing. Our winner in the previous round was saying you've got to actually be quite careful, because he was on a final warning as well. So yeah, it's one of those tracks we don't have the little beacons that pop up that tell you, oopsie, you're exceeding track limits here. But like stuff like that, if you're going to do that too many times, you're going to get a warning for sure.
Well, Shedder now currently in first place. Essa just 0.027 seconds behind. That's 2/100ths of a second. And I'm sure he's not going to be happy with that. We know Essa likes winning, and Essa's going to go for the win. There is still 5 minutes of qualifying left. And currently, we've got, let's check if Essa is out there. Essa is out there. He's on a red lap at the moment. That means he's on an invalid lap at the moment. So he's going to have to come around one more time and start again, which means he's got about 2 laps in hand. Oliphant now coming across the finish line as well there now. And Oliphant also going to try and do better. Will he, though?
Jordan's going to go again, for sure. I think he's just going to irritate everyone.
Well, Jordan just came in and put his tires on, and he's going to send it again.
But that's just amazing to be able to go out there and just do one hot lap, put it on pole. I mean, that's the dream, though, isn't it? That's a dream at the races.
But that is what the guys have tried to do. If you look at like Formula One, they've done it in MotoGP2. In theory, you literally have a super pole where it's the one lap that you've got to do and make it count. And that just adds a lot more pressure to a driver to go and do it. Jordan isn't under that pressure. He put himself in that situation, but he knows what he's capable of, because he was the only guy to dip into 42s in seeding yesterday. And I think he's going to obviously try and have a go at that, because that's also a psychological thing. We spoke about the game playing and the strategies. Did he show his hand too early? I think he wanted to, because I think he knew that no one else was capable of running 42. So he's a man with massive confidence at the moment. So I'm expecting things to be a proper battle towards the final end of the season now as we run in. I think Zaire realizes this is going to be a bit of a push for the championship.
Indeed. Look at Kay Patterson's car. I love the livery on this car. Kieran Patterson running the South African flag. He gets it very sideways. This is not a drift competition, Kieran Patterson. Kieran Patterson getting it sideways for the camera there. But I got to say, the car looked good in there. It's always nice to see the South African flag flying high.
If you remember,
it's nice to see someone using all the track plus more as well.
Yeah. But if you remember 2 weeks ago, it was Kieran Patterson that was involved in that. How many times did he overtake the same guy? Remember?
Yes. I was impressed by that, but you guys quickly shot me down and said, well, he doesn't get points for overtaking the same guy.
No, exactly. He would have been way further up the list if he didn't make those silly little mistakes. Because we've seen him; he's fast, and in the overall rankings, he sits pretty high up as well. So we know he's got pace. That looks like Jason Webb that ran wide. They're probably going to reboot and go to the garage as well. I was having a look here. So Bruno again showing the form in the Merc. He's sitting in 7th place at the moment. Jason down in 14th. So yeah, it's impressive for that Merc to be running that time by Bruno. Well done.
Zaire is still on a green flag lap. He's just a little bit down in his time, about 1/10 of a second down as he makes his way to the third to last corner. That's a second gear corner there. It looks really slow, but it's actually quite a fast sweeper for the drivers. You've got to push it quite hard. There's Zaire Essa takes a tight line through the left-hander, gets a little bit ahead. I think he might go up on his time, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Well, actually just needs less than 1/10 of a second at the moment. He gets some traffic there. Basson on the outside there causes a problem for him. Will he get the slipstream? He's 1/10 of a second down. And Esra's not going to be happy with that. He's now got about a lap left. He's got to make it count now. But Son's not giving way.
Watch Jordan. Jordan's gonna put a nail in here just to kind of really drive home this the dominance he's had in terms of pace. And I think if he puts it on pole and he gets a clean start, I don't think the guys are going to be able to live with him because we know this Audi is good. It's suited to a circuit like this, and we know the tire wear on it is great as well. So. That's what we're hoping for.
Shedid's going to be able to do an extra lap, and he's already 2/10 of a second up. So if he maintains this now and gets 41 and gets a 41, for example, even if he doesn't get a 41, he's going to be able to do another lap. Shedid makes his way across the line, doesn't really close. He's going to go faster, 42-1, and Shedid still has one more lap in the bag. And Shedid really putting himself in a class of his own here. I don't think the other guys have more in it though.
But that's what I like also seeing about Ernest, the preceding. You want to go out there and you want to go as fast as you possibly can. I don't understand this whole sandbagging thing. What exactly does it prove though, coming into a qualifying day?
No, but Taz, the other side, I mean, I get what you're saying, but the cool thing as well is, remember these guys, a lot of them are running in teams. So the one guy might be running a different setup during that seeding run as an example, and trying a different strategy. I get you. It makes no sense because you can go and practice after hours and go and do that. But I think that's what a lot of the guys end up sitting and doing in terms of that. So you don't always see the ultimate pace. And we've seen that. We've had guys come in where they're sitting in 9th place, but we know that's not where they're going to end up when it comes to the actual qualifying run. So
yeah, but like what Jordan's done, he went out yesterday, he did a really rapid time, and he's come today and he's sort of almost matching it. But like it makes the other drivers feel more scared going into race day because oh shit, I've got half a second to find. Where am I going to find this time? I feel it's better to go out and smash a lap time and let the guys worry about chasing
if you're
you.
Forced. If you're forced. The thing is, I think some of the guys, if they're going to be, let's say, 3rd or 4th, they might not necessarily want to show that hand as we now go on board with Abschmeyer. Speaking of 3rd or 4th, Abschmeyer might be in, he gets 4th place. Abschmeyer gets 4th position. But I think there is some strategy involved here, Taz.
Yeah, Taz, my thing as well, I'd also be very, very careful. If you know what you can do, you've got the pace in hand, then don't go and show, because all the guys are going to do is spend the whole of Saturday night doing lap after lap after lap, get their time down, whereas you can rather spring a surprise on them come race day,
Well, definitely.
Yeah, but it's also better for you as well. They're going to be a lot more tired coming into race day than you are.
Yeah, someone that isn't tired certainly is Jordan Shedid. We make our way now into the final few minutes of qualifying. We're on board with Vasaki now in the Audi. So far, the standings are pretty much going to stay the same, at least for the top 8. Because they're all in the pit lane at the moment. The qualifying is over, but look at that. Jordan Shedid in first place. Leslie Oliphant doing well in second. Zahir Essa, no surprises on the front row of the grid there. And he parks it. That's it from us for qualifying for now, folks. Ooh, it's going to be a cracker of a race. Let's hope that first lap doesn't go as we saw early on. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. And we are live, and that is what the Pro Grid of the Pro Series looks like. This, of course, is the ATK Pro Series, and you join us for the Pro category. This is a collection of the best sim racers in the country making their way to the start grid here in sunny Hungary. The guys can expect to have sunny skies all the way through as the countdown continues, and with about 1 minute and 10 seconds or so left till the start light. Marius, what are your thoughts going into that first corner?
Turn one I really like. I mean, when they redesigned the track, that was the one thing that they changed, was to actually tighten turn one to give it more of a opportunity for overtaking. But like we mentioned earlier, it's actually quite deep. So if you do outbrake yourself, you can run wide. They've also given you a lot of exit on the outside. So if there is someone diving you up the inside, there is place for you to go. So I think it's actually quite a safe corner. Unless somebody really does something stupid and barrels up the inside and clatters a whole bunch of cars. But we've been to circuits where the first turns are more impactful, I think, where there's more chance of things to go wrong. So I don't expect to see any problems here. I think turn 2 and turn 3 is where the real carnage comes, because that's when the super tube ride starts. And that's where guys need to tuck in and start getting the flow. And the guys will be tempted to kind of go 2 cars through some of the corners there. So, yeah, I think turn 1 should be good. These are the pros.
It's funny you said that, because I did mention to the guys in the driver's briefing that turn 2 and 3 also form part of the first part of the circuit, because that's usually where things go badly wrong. We saw in the Pro-Am race, just after turn 2, we saw an incident by the kink over there, or turn 3. And yeah, the guys need to make sure they behave themselves all the way through, because this is a 50-minute race, and races aren't won on the first lap, and they certainly aren't won on the first corner. One person that's going to want to try and win this on the first corner, I'm sure, though, is Zaire Esser, because we know once he gets up front, he is able to get away. Uncharacteristically, he's starting in second position today. So Zaire Esser is going to want to make sure that he gets a clean getaway and tries to get into that first corner without much hassle.
But you know what the cool thing with Jordan is, that he's not scared to put those elbows out, and we've seen him and Zaire have gone door-to-door, side-on contact, which for me is great. That's racing. So that is a cool thing, and that's what Jordan tried to do with Zaire as well, was to hang with him and put him under that type of pressure. So, yeah, I think we're in for a great race, and I think the guys behind Leslie Oliphant, I said earlier, has shown great race pace as well. I'm hoping that Cody, I mean, he's found himself doing some silly things and getting drive-through penalties and exceeding track limits, but it's good to have both Sherrod brothers there. He's sitting in 6th, so we know the pace is there in that Audi, so I'm hoping that he's going to have a good race here, because I think that's a guy that is owing of a good result. He's got pace, he just hasn't been able to put it together in a race, so it'll be nice to see another Audi mixing it up with the Porsches.
Well, Cody,
we need to break these Porsches up a little bit more, don't we?
I think so. Industrial espionage is what's needed. We need to find out why these Porsches are so fast. Yeah. But it's nice to see Cody Sherrod in the mix there as well. I mean, 6th place, not too shabby. The younger of the Sherrod brothers, and still very much learning a lot about sim racing. So the younger guys always have more potential, but oftentimes it's the older brother whose shadow they live in. But I'm sure he's going to outgrow that shadow as he matures and develops as a sim racer, as a race car driver. So I'm looking forward to seeing old Custard Sherrod, as he calls himself, Cody Custard, in 6th place, showing some of the guys between him and his brother a clean pair of exhaust pipes.
It was not.
It wasn't the case with me and my brother, hey, so let's not count Cody out just yet.
It was nice to see what Jason's gone and done. We've spoken about the guys can personalize their liveries, and you know, he's part of a team, I think, with George Smith, White Rabbit Racing. Cool. Jason's going to put his name on the wing, so that does help us as commentators. So that's quite cool, personalizing things like that. But they're getting into the final 2 corners, making sure that brake temperature is right and tires are warmed up, because as we know, 1 kilometer straight, that's a fair size straight, and then heavy into turn 1 braking, so you want to make sure everything is up to racing conditions and temps.
Yeah, there are lots of teams here today, and White Rabbit Racing certainly, White Rabbit Gaming certainly is one of those teams. ATK, another one of those teams, and then we've got the Milk guys as well, very active in the community. There's a lot of guys that are active in this community to try and keep things going and keep the racing exciting. And speaking of exciting racing, that's exactly what we're about to have now. We've got Issa in second place. Next to him, Sherrod. Behind that, we got Leslie Oliphant and Abschmeyer in the second row. Bashir Jadwat in the third row with the other Sherrod brother. As we now make our way, it's green flag racing. Off they go. Right-hand lane there. Audi starts to get a lead. We got Claessens coming from the back, putting up next to Jadwat over here. So far, so good. All of them clean. They are going in a bit of a bunch. They're further back. The guys are getting into quite a bunch. Into the first corner there. Claessens goes down the middle. It's 3 abreast down the first corner. Jadwat gets through clearly. All the cars get through clearly. It looks like they're pretty much in the same positions now, with Issa though getting shuffled back into third position.
No, he's got it here. You see, that's what I mean. He can run him as wide as he wants to here. See, he's left him space, but 2 cars can go through there. So that was good defensive driving, even though it seemed like Leslie had the job done. So he knows that on that left hand, he can stay up the inside and ensure that he keeps. But listen, pros, well done. No incident.
Well done. Cody made some mistake there, but Cody has to go fighting. Cody is fighting for position. Cody is fighting for position with Claessens at the moment further back there. And the Audi definitely getting his hands full over there of the junior Sherrod. But up front, it is all senior Sherrod, Jordan Sherrod in the front there, getting chased by Zahir Issa, Leslie Oliphant behind that, and Abschmeyer. Nice to see Jason Abschmeyer back in the mix there. I know someone that you've tipped to be quite talented in a car as well as a sim.
Yeah, he's brilliant. We know 2 weeks ago, obviously couldn't play because of load shedding. It affected, I think, Rickard van Colle as well, a couple of other guys. So it's good to have him back.
Oh my goodness! I think the Sherrod brothers are out. Both Sherrods are out. I think their machines glitched. Both of them have been disconnected. It looks like it could be an internet issue on their side, and both Sherrod brothers are now out of the race. Unbelievable turn of events. Issa now with clear track in front of him. And this is an unbelievable turn of bad luck for the Sherrod brothers. I mean, they were the talk of the town up until the end of that first lap.
I'm going to log out now as well. Thanks. I'll see you guys later.
This is what's so frustrating about esport racing, isn't it? It all comes down to
but look, in motorsport we also get car breakages. We don't get car breakages. Yeah.
No, but it's nonsense, because it's like stuff. I mean, we know Kelvin Wynn had a great win now with his team in the endurance race, but at Le Mans, in the virtual Le Mans, they were leading, they were dominant, and then he had like his network provider with a serious glitch, and they were on a comeback ride off that. But I mean, like, come on. I mean, this is like, how much more crap do you actually need? Because you've done everything. You're the only guy in the 41s. You get the perfect start. You're leading. We're trying to run a championship here where we've got some good action and stuff to scream and shout about. But I mean, this just fall into Zahir's lap perfectly now. I mean, come on, that's it, done and dusted. Yeah, Jason's fast. He hasn't had the pace. So this is going to be, for me, another runaway victory for Zahir. So I know I'm meant to be professional here, but I just get a little bit grumpy about the whole thing. It's crap.
Yeah. We've got one small incident there on the start line. A couple of cars coming together. It looks like Wesley Hampson.
Yeah, Wesley.
That is Wesley Hampson in the mix there with the other Lexus also getting tangled up. So the Wesley Hampson now in 23rd position all the way down the order. We are on board now with Jason Webb, who's taken advantage of a couple of those mishaps there in the top 10, and he's right on the tail of Patterson. And Kieran Patterson has been known to make a couple of mistakes, and that's what he does there. He runs a little bit wide. Jason down the inside now, but Kieran actually on the line there. I think he's going a little bit defensive. Jason trying to get past there. And he's going to have to be happy with the 10th place. Does the Mercedes have an advantage on the straights, though? I think the Porsche seems to be holding that gap there. So no big advantage for the Mercedes this time, at least not on the straight. But Patterson does go defensive, though. Jason taking the wider line there. What's he going to do with the undercut? Has a look down the inside, but no can do. And as you said, Marius, there is one major place to overtake. As we go live back onto the main straight now, Hampson now having a look down the inside there. He's a man on a charge. There's more carnage, more incidents happening there. Nobody touches. Hampson gets through. So Hampson now up to, I think that was Wilton that he just overtook there.
Yeah, I love that turn one, and I mean Taz as well. It's like those sort of opportunities exist there because there's so many different lines through there. Even if you're going defensive, the guy can still have a go at you around the outside, because if he can stick there, he's got the inside line for turn 2, the left-hander. So for me, it's a great corner. I enjoy places like that. And listen, Jason looks like he's got the pace over Kieran Patterson. So maybe that pressure, like you mentioned, we've seen Kieran make some mistakes. Maybe he'll feel the pressure. It looks like Jason's made one himself, because he's not just dropped off the back of that Porsche and is under some pressure from Heineke in the other Porsche. So yeah, lots of racing. Nice to see close battles right throughout the field. But I'm sorry if I don't sound that excited. I'm actually super grumpy at this stage.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I totally understand. I share your pain. We now go on board with Bashir Jadwat in the 80k car, the first of the 80k cars. Right behind him, the other 80k car of Quade Claessens. Quade's going to be glad to be giving his teammate a bit of a showing here, trying to make sure to keep him honest as they go through the final corner. Another driver who is keeping everybody honest at the moment is Charles Wilken down in 20th position. He got a penalty and started right at the back. I think he might have even started, I think got a qualifying ban, so he would have started right at the back, now up to 20th position. So Charles, one of the big movers further down the field, but in front, Bashir Jadwat making up 3rd position now, putting some big pressure on Jason Abschmeyer. All the while, the man that everybody expected to run away with it if he got clear air has done exactly that. And
Well, that's because we got clear air, didn't we? By default. So.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's like, anyway. Look, I feel sorry. Good mention on Charles, but this is going to be a really tough race for him. It's not the race where you want to start from the back, because it's not great for overtaking. So I think he's going to get to a point and then really struggle. So I'm expecting like mid-pack for him would be the best results, because it is a difficult track to overtake. So yeah, that's unfortunate.
Jason Webb there on a charge. He got past Patterson by the looks of things.
That was a made mistake, because he hasn't. He's dropped back. So Jason's made a mistake. Look at him taking the curve. We're worried about it. If you go straight and you hit that sausage curb on that exit of that chicane, it really unsettles you. But Kieran Patterson was who Jason was right behind, and now made a mistake.
Somebody's made a mistake, because now Jason is up to 9th position with Heineke.
Honor must have made a mistake. I'm sorry, because Heineke, Webb, and Patterson were in that order. So I think we missed something there. I think Arno was higher up and went and made a mistake, and he's now slotted in.
Yeah, we're going to try and get a replay of that so we can have a closer look. Back on board with the 80k boys now, making their way onto the main straight there. So fast is that Porsche down the straight. 3 Porsches there, and behind them is the first of the Mercedes-Benz, Bruno Cadile, always sneaking his way into the top 5, keeping his nose clean at the start, but making his way into the top 5 now. A fantastic showing for a Mercedes-Benz, that's for sure.
He's a very consistent driver, isn't he? I mean, he always kind of just makes his way into that top half of the point standing, or the overall standings of the race, and he's just chipping away at it, and I think he's going to finish easily in the top 5 in the championship with us.
I think so. If he can do that every single race, he certainly can do that. And, consistency really is king when it comes to this kind of racing. Putting together 30, 40 perfect laps, if you can, or as close to perfect, is what's needed. And it's not easy, man. It's so not easy in these simulators. And if he's able to do that, we've seen it in his results, consistently finishing in the top 5, top 10, in a car that really does struggle to be competitive.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's what makes his results even more impressive. I think he's a very, very competent driver, because, yeah, he's been super consistent, but he hasn't been in the favorite car. He hasn't been in the car that's the dominant car. So, this is like a true showcase of his driving ability, because there he is, always everyone else and then the Merc. So that's fantastic. I'm trying to find out where Junior McCall's gone, because I don't see him either. So Morgan's there in 11th. Junior, I think, was kind of mid-pack, but he's obviously either dropped way down, so I don't think he was involved in that incident.
Junior McCall currently in 24th position there. Marius is mixing it up. We've got Wesley Hampson over there, Skitter, Lindsay Ray, and that's Byron Walker having a look now. Byron Walker having a look down the outside. I don't think that's going to make it stick. Wesley Hampson looking on at both of them as they come out the chicane. They're coming to visibility now. Wesley Hampson right from the bumper there of this 2. Oh, Byron runs a little bit wide. They touch. Nothing serious though. Wesley Hampson goes down the inside, take advantage. 3 abreast. The Porsche runs wide, but he gets the run down the inside. Wow.
It's brilliant.
Wow. Yeah. Junior McCall, that is how it's done, showing them that 12-year-old elbows can be just as wide.
Brilliant.
It's nice. It's actually nice to see him not getting flustered like he did in the beginning of the season. I mean, we saw when he was out in front, he could check out and just carry on going. But as soon as he was in a race, he sort of got a little bit too flustered. Yeah. But it seems that he's kind of getting used to it now, and he's maturing
at a very fast rate, Tasman.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. I mean, he's now just given it to these 2 guys, and he's chasing the guy down in front of him now. So it's nice to see that he's fighting back for his positions and he's not dropping back.
I think as we spoke about earlier, that's a big difference too. You know, how much do you learn when you have clear track in front of you and you're winning everything? I think, you know, you take the step up to pros, and where you were winning in Pro-Am, you're now sitting mid-pack. And we heard that's where the battles happen, and that's where the racecraft gets developed. And that's where you learn to have a bit of, hey, bugger you, China, this is my corner type of thing. So, yeah, it's good to see that. But nice to see good racing like that as well, because who was it in the Lexus that kind of saw, hey, he has a massive Hampson, he has a great opportunity while these two are having a battle, I'm going to drive up the inside. So it was good racing all around. I love it.
Fantastic racing all around. Bashir Jadwat now still with Jason Abschmeyer, literally just a few tenths of a second in front of him, and that gap has stayed pretty consistent for these top 5 contestants over here. We've got Abschmeyer in second position, Bashir Jadwat in third, Quake Claessens in fourth, Bruno Kadile in fifth position. Further down the road by 5 seconds is Zander Basson. Kieran Patterson still under pressure from Versace and Webb there, with Heineke a little bit further back. And Morgan McCall, the ATK Academy driver, the first of the ATK Academy drivers, in 11th position. Hanging out in the midfield here with these pros. It's really special stuff to see Morgan and his brother. I mean, I'm sure the younger McCall would have been a bit more competitive had he not had some issues at the start of the race.
We saw Bash just making a bit of a mistake there. I don't know if you picked up, it looked like he ran a little bit wide, but I was about to comment to the fact that Bruno is getting sucked into this. He seems to be getting closer and closer in that Merc as well. So when we cut back to that, I think that's going to be a good battle to watch. But so is this battle. Arno in 8th, Jason just behind him in 9th, and we've got Kieran Patterson and Christos Basson. So this is really, really good racing. Nice battles throughout. And this is what we kind of didn't have happening in the Pro-Ams, because we end up with so few cars. But in the pros, the guys are all on it. They're all running such close time. 100%. You end up having this battle right the way through. Like we saw in Barcelona, because it's a difficult track to overtake, you get the guys in the slow. We've got a 15-second penalty given to Zander. So that must have been...
Oh, gosh.
Somewhere.
Jason Webb just took a lunge up the inside.
Oh, we missed that one.
I don't know if he made it, but...
Well, the similar battle that we saw earlier on is happening further back. Jason Webb's now in 8th position. He's in front of Heineke now. I don't think that worked out for him. But a similar battle is happening further back. I mean, these guys are bunched up so nicely together. It's really interesting to see this. I'm really enjoying the racing now. And we did see a couple of races in the Pro-Am category, but nothing quite like this.
Yeah, Taz, I mean, I saw what you were referring to, but I'm also getting nervous to call stuff now, because we've had that where the cars just have a little glitch and suddenly it's gone straight onto the grass. Meanwhile, a split second later, remember Ernest with Aldo Bellingham in the Lamborghini, where he was on the dirt and like straight back on the track. So there are those little glitches that we obviously think are happening in real time, but for the driver, he's still exactly where he was on the track. So it'll be interesting to see where Jason did end up. But
the movie you're talking about was a movie made on Versace. And I think he did manage to make that stick. So that was him dive bombing down Versace, and he did manage to make that stick.
Oh, that's awesome. And he's got Etienne Kleber. I mean, I remember he was a race winner. I think I was in Barcelona 2 weeks ago in Pro-Am, and looking really good in that Aston. We know the Aston's a really good car. It just doesn't seem to have the out-and-out pace to run with the front guys. Doesn't have that top end. So that and the Lexus, great cars, but just obviously lacking a little bit in the horsepower department with the balance of performance, not really helping them. But this is a great little battle here. And obviously Charles Wilkin is just up ahead of them, so he's down up to 17th place already, having started from the back, so that's great.
Oh, what a great battle happening here. We got King in front, Kleb just behind him, and these guys are no slouches. Also Kleb, a previous winner over there, Henbury and Zander Roots just behind that. It's nice to see these guys racing each other like that. Audi gets a little bit squirrely there, and it's so difficult to keep your composure. Just look at the guys bunching up now. The Ferrari at the back there, that looks like Mumford in the background, and Byron Walker getting involved in on the action. This is going to either be very good racing or very bad racing, dare I say.
Well, that's
but it's actually just so nice to see these guys actually giving each other room, and you know they're going for an overtaking maneuver, but they're not taking silly chances. So they kind of just there's a lot more respect going on between all the guys than there was at the beginning of the season.
Indeed, no, definitely. The guys have learned their lesson, I think, in a lot of ways. They kind of know some of the limits of the cars now. They kind of know what to expect. But what a group of cars here. We got McCall, we got Mumford, Roots, all hanging in the wings there. And then Byron Walker just behind that, all ready to pounce. And these guys are, we've seen early on, all willing to take that chance, willing to make that move. But you got to wait until you're close enough, though. You got to wait until that opportunity presents itself. And as we said earlier on, the circuit certainly doesn't provide a lot of those opportunities. That is Kieran Patterson there, flying the South African flag brightly. He's got Xander Basson in front of him. But Basson, as we saw, with a 15-second penalty, he's got everything to race for now.
But now, I mean, I swear, I mean, obviously we don't have Jonathan Benz with us today. So I'd love to know, I think that is an in-game penalty.
Yeah, I think it would be, yeah. I think it might be.
But somewhere probably. And like we spoke about, that's horrible when you've got that warning and you're only like 15 minutes into the race. You're going, yeah, I've really got to keep it on the neat and tidy. But I'm involved in a big battle. I mean, and have a look at this. I mean, Jason is coming under some serious pressure with Bash behind.
Now think about this. You've got.
Look at Bruno right on the back of Quaid now. So this is good.
Think about the pressure that he's under. He's got Jadwat Claessens and Bruno. He knows these guys are shatteringly fast. And he's got all three of them right behind him. But this is not a good place for Abschmeyer.
But you remember...
Yeah, but he's doing a good job at keeping them behind him, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But do you remember Paul Ricard? He had Quaid Claessens all over him for how many laps? No, listen, Jason's massively experienced in the sim racing community, and what he says he likes to is that he races with these guys. So I think that's what you start finding with the pros. They race, whether it's the 80K Pro Series or all the other platforms, they all end up spending time on track together virtually. And I think you start understanding, and that's what he mentioned about Quaid. He said him and I race together a lot. So he knows my style, I know his style, and there's respect shown, and that's what we want to see. And that's why you're watching pro racing, and this is great. But this, Jason, for me, doesn't seem to have the out-and-out pace that Bash and Quaid have. What I like about it is it's brought Bruno straight into it. So now we've got a proper battle here for what is podium positions, you know?
Well, Abschmeyer's best time today in the race is a 144.4, and behind him, Jadwat's doing a 144.3, and just behind that, Claessen's the quickest of the lot, doing a 143.9. So Claessen's got the pace. Bashir Jadwat now having a look down the inside here. Is he going to be able to do it? Oh, they squeeze and they touch. He blocks Claessen's, and I think Abschmeyer, they did push him quite hard. Abschmeyer has a lunge down the inside, runs all the way wide and into the wall. Two cars spin out. Kindly gets connected. And for the first time, Jadwat is the one that comes out of this not the loser in a situation like that. What a strange turn of events. Jason Webb takes advantage of all the carnage and is now up to 5th position with Basson and Abschmeyer right in front of him.
Yeah, I think Jason had a bit of a arm frustrated because for me it definitely felt like Bash's move was a little bit on the aggressive side, and I think Jason got pushed out wide and came right back and said, hey, I'm coming at you. So yeah, I think that's going to be something we're going to look at if it's not dealt with in a race, which I hope it will be, because I think it should be. That'll definitely be something we'll have a look at in tomorrow's post-race incident, Taz, because that seems like
you've been saying that so much. Tomorrow's post-race, I can't wait. I literally put my feet up and watch you guys do this. It's great. It's great TV.
Yeah, but I don't think that move was aggressive. He was fully 100% up the inside.
Where, Bash? Yeah, but Bash, I don't think would have made the corner if he didn't run into Jason. So that's what I want to see again, because there was contact. Jason got knocked off the track. So that's my point. So I think he left his braking far too late. There's not a place to overtake there. So it'll be interesting to see that again. I mean, Jason's move for me was also completely ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, Bash's move was a bit robust, but Jason was a dive bomb down the inside that sent him into the wall. Quaid Claessen's is spinning and Kadile gets connected in the process. Jason Webb's the biggest winner in this whole caboodle at the moment.
He needs some luck. I mean, he's been on every single incident at Jason. I mean, if someone's spinning out of control, they end up collecting.
I think he needs to look. His car might be magnetic.
Vision for chaos, you know. So glad it's worked out in his favour this time round. But it's intense.
I think Leslie Oliphant is in the pit lane. And what a turn of events for Leslie Oliphant. As wow, that was not ideal. That was not ideal at all.
My word, there's action. I mean, that's literally where we saw the incidents now. Same place. Big battles all the way through.
There's action everywhere. Everywhere. Oh, side by side they go. That is the Lexus, looks like it.
And Junior McCall just involved in that battle again. He seems to have made up a few places there. And that's Zander Roots we're looking at now with Hampson.
Yes.
Wow, that is...
Abschmeyer is in the pits. Abschmeyer is in the pits. I can confirm that Abschmeyer is in the pits. So what a shame there. Essa in the lead, of course, but the racing continues further back. Zander Roots there in the mix now. That is the... if you look at that Ferrari, that's actually got the color scheme of Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
That's Byron Walker's car. He's got the whole paint job of Lightning McQueen over there. You can't miss that car. Byron Walker all over the back of Zander Roots with Wesley Hampson uncharacteristically further down the field in 23rd place.
Yeah, but he's been involved in a couple of battles. I think that's what slowed his progress, because the minute you're racing like this, you can't really get into your rhythm and into your zone because you're watching mirrors all the time. But yeah, Jason Webb's got a train of guys behind him.
Yes. All the way back to McCall. We got McCall, Fasaki, Patterson, Claessens, Basson, and then Webb. And in front of that, we got Bruno Cadile. Now, did Bruno Cadile get damage earlier on? Oh, no. Here's Quaid's replay over here.
Inside. Maybe look at Bash jumping up the inside. Have a look at this now. He's beyond Bash. Yeah, so we've missed that. Okay, so he's knocked him out wide there. Yeah, that replay doesn't really show us much from that
but
first.
This is the dive over here. This was a bit to me, a bit robust.
No, that was a bit.
There's no argument there. I mean, he just didn't bother braking. But it'd be nice to see where it all first started, with Bash coming up the inside. There's Jason threading the needle through all the chaos. Well done.
Yeah, the drifters are used to missing things. Even in chaos.
So nervous going through there, going, oh my word, I know what normally happens here. I get clattered. Yeah. But he's done well. So this is awesome. And I mean, Bruno is fine. He's sitting in third, so he also came out of that relatively unscathed. So
not too shabby, but we don't know if Bruno's got damage, and these cars are very susceptible to damage. I've been spending a lot of time in the GT4 cars where you can kind of bump and bash and there's no issue, but the GT3 cars, tiny little bump, you got a little bit of front end damage, and if there's any aero that gets collected, you've got a compromised car. Even if it means half a second or a second, that over 30 minutes of racing left. Now the gap between Webb and Cadile is 1.7 seconds. I'm going to keep a close eye on that gap to see what happens there, because that is the battle for third place.
It's just amazing though to have two Mercs in the top 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's obviously taking the most of the opportunities. That one little incident cost a couple of guys places, and obviously, if people have joined us late, we've lost the Sherrod brothers who joined from the lead of the race. So
Basson getting under a lot of pressure there from Claessens, Marius. The same spot, but this time a clean overtake around the outside by Claessens there. Basson under a lot of pressure now from Patterson and Fasaki as well. I think Basson also not having the same pace as some of these front-running guys.
But I think that's what's helped Jason gap Quaid Claessens, because I think he managed to get past Basson, and that's given him a bit of breathing space, taking Quaid a little bit longer. But I expect Quaid to be all over the back of Jason in no time, because he is super fast. He was running right up there. So, I think we're going to see a race in probably about a lap or two between those two. But we're going to have a look at some good racing action right the way through. And this, for me, has been a good race to watch. And it seems
Indeed.
Get to tracks where the guys can't overtake.
I can't believe we're halfway through already. Apparently you can't overtake you, but these guys are not seeing any of that. Fasaki having a look at Patterson over there. He's been having a look for the last half a lap or so. I think he might have the pace on Patterson, especially under braking. So these guys not holding back, not being as patient as we saw early on. But I think they've got the skills to match it up there. They've got the skills to pull off, and excuse my stealing of a phrase here, but to pull off those lunges.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm having to do around a non-passing track, as Mario says. But I think they're taking chances that they shouldn't be taking, and that's obviously why we're seeing the stuff that we're seeing.
Yeah. We're on board now with Kieran Patterson in 7th position, and not doing too badly there at all, right behind Basson now. Basson clearly the one that's been holding up the queue here, and in front of him, Quaid Claessens now getting some clear air finally, starting to get away from the rest of the pack. The pack, though, does consist of Zander Basson with a 15-second penalty behind him, Kieran Patterson, And then Fasaki just behind that. Morgan McCall looking on. Basson runs wide. Patterson gets the inside as they make their way into the final corner now. Basson's not going to want to give this up. He's got the inside line. Patterson still on the outside. Basson manages to get it back. And this will be slowing down the guys behind them quite a bit as the Audi now heads onto the straight.
That was brilliant driving from both of them, giving each other the respect and the space, not trying
Oh, Fasaki goes down the inside, they touch. Sorry about that, Marius. Fasaki goes down the inside, gets the momentum, they touch. Down the middle comes McCall. McCall comes down the middle and unbelievably gets past Patterson. What a move from McCall. Was that good or was that reckless?
That was luck.
That was brave. Just let's go with brave.
He was steering that car under braking, saying, "Oh, please don't close that gap." There's no way he would have clattered both cars. But hey, sometimes that works, and I'm seeing flashing lights. So Kieran Patterson obviously not happy about what happened there, you know. But yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting indeed. I mean, I cannot believe that he got away with that. That was, again, either that was class driving or he got a little bit lucky there. And I've experienced it too in sims and in real cars. You're on the brakes at 100%. There's nothing else that you can do. All you got to do now is hope that you make the score. And hopefully that wasn't one of those situations. The McCall brother then pulling it off, though. He did pull it off in the end.
I'm having a look on our chat, because obviously not having Jonathan here updating us on what's happening with incidents. Apparently, Basson's 15-second penalty was for an avoidable incident on turn 1. Just to give you guys an update why he's got that hanging around his neck for the rest of the race. And then apparently the incident involving 83 and 90. So that, I'm guessing, is Bash, and 90 I know is Jason. Saying no further action taken. So I guess they're assuming that Jason clattering himself into the wall was punishment enough. So that's quite interesting.
That's fair enough. I think look, if you look at the results of that action, I mean the punishment was swiftly dished out to the relevant parties. Bashir Jadwat though did manage to get away with that dive bomb down the inside, and no further action is the call. So
no, but Quaid got shortchanged big time there, you know, because that dropped him way down. He's obviously fighting his way back up again, but excuse me, Bruno obviously benefiting and Bash as well.
Now Craig Claasen's now sneaking up towards Jason Webb. He's 1.6 seconds behind him. In front of Jason is Kadile, and Kadile now extending that gap to about 1.8 seconds. From early on we saw about 1.7, so pretty much the same. It's going to be a mistake from either one of these guys that's going to change the course of this race, but we've known specifically Jason and specifically Kadile to be quite consistent. Sean Mumford there in the thick of things in that Porsche over there. Sean Mumford having put in a lot of time and effort this week to try and be consistent. Him and Byron Walker might be on the same comms together, so the two of them could be working together to try and just weave their way through the pack here. Wesley Hampson, another friend of the group, in 20th position. So these guys all race with each other, as you say, Marius, offline and online before the weekend's action. But now they are in fact racing for track position in the Premier Race Series, the ATK Pro Series. Oh, Mumford runs wide, they gets under pressure from Walker, and Walker does well to back out of that move. I think he thought twice about trying to go up the inside at that specific spot.
Yeah, you don't want to be dumping a back wheel in on the grass in the Porsche on that exit, so doing well to keep it pointed in a straight line. But again, that's the patience, you know, those opportunities get presented, but Byron doing a great job realizing that's going to be a gap that's going to be closing really, really fast, so ended up doing the right thing, and both of them are still on track racing. Junior McCall seems to have dropped down as well, because he was ahead of all of these guys, if you remember. I see he's now behind them in 23rd, so I don't know if it's been an incident. But yeah, listen, we haven't spoken about Zahir, and I mean, this is, let's take nothing away from him. I mean, the only reason we get grumpy is because he has been such a dominant force throughout the series, and we know that Jordan has been the one guy, and Bash has got a victory as well, but Jordan's been the one guy that's had the pace, especially in the late rounds. He's had a few technical issues himself, which is why he hasn't been up at the top of the leaderboard where he should be, but now he's there and he's winning and he's got the pace and he's leading the race, and then obviously a technical. So take nothing away from Zahir. He's brilliant. obviously got a very stable internet connection as well, which really
Look, that all counts, right? That all counts, because if you don't have an actual car, what is the internet connection? That's kind of the fuel, though. So if you run out of fuel, I mean, it's what a pity, though. Eh? I mean, there's a phrase that goes "not like that," and that is certainly one of those times with the suppliers, because not like that, man, not like that.
But I mean, it's quite cool because I mean that's something that you have to now consider. You know, you've got to get the right car, you've got to put in the hours, you've got to have a stable internet connection. I mean, in what
Yes.
But anyway, that's the reality. So
Yeah, but this is what frustrates me a little bit about esports is you put in all this practice and you put in all the time and effort to get fast and to come to a race meeting and be confident like Jordan was. I mean, he went out and did 2 laps and put it on pole, and you start the race and boom, you're out, you know. So I think it becomes really frustrating from a driver's point of view, let alone the commentator's side.
Oh, yes.
I mean, imagine how frustrated Jordan is sitting right now going, oh my word, that was an easy win for me, you know?
I don't think he's saying, oh my word, number one. He's definitely saying something else, and I would be smashing things at this point. I would be smashing things at that point of the game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because
He's busy having a word with his dad. Dad, come on, man, I told you to play the instrument well.
These Kieran Patterson and Basson are really tussling with each other in place. They shouldn't be tussling. They're going through the left-hander now. Who's going to back out? Nobody does. Kieran Patterson and Basson there and Fasaki really going wheel-to-wheel racing here. This is what it's all about. And I'm sure Patterson must be quite frustrated. He knows Basson has a 15-second penalty, and Basson is just simply trying to stay in front.
Ernest, what happened to Morgan? Morgan was ahead of them. Remember he had that threading the needle through turn 1? Now he's behind all of them
Oh
again.
my goodness me, I wonder what happened to Morgan McCall.
So if we can get a replay of something there, he must have made a mistake.
Morgan McCall is currently now in 9th position.
Yeah, because I mean, Kieran Patterson was flashing him on the exit of turn 1 when he came under braking between the two of them. So he's obviously got to made a mistake there. So that's quite frustrating because you've got to do all the hard work all over again. Listen, Kieran's going to try and hang around the outside of Bassonia, and he's got it right. So that's brilliant. And the Audi's having a look as well. A little contact there, opening the door for Arno Fasaki too. So making the most of that opportunity. And isn't it funny? That's how often happens, Taz? You know, in that little battle, if you're right behind, that little contact gives you end up not losing one place but 2 or 3. So that's what's happened to Basson there now. So that's opened things up big time. But yeah, I wonder what happened to Morgan.
Yeah, I think Morgan would have just made a little mistake there. I'm actually just looking at one of the replays now. He was in the mix, but I think he just fell off the tail of the group, eh? He was really in the mix with the group, but just unfortunately.
Remember, he was ahead of Kieran though, so yeah, he wasn't hanging on to the group. He was in front of the group. So I'm quite keen to see what happened to him there. But anyway, it's gone now. He's back on the back of Basson. This is going to irritate him because he knows he's got the pace, and Fasaki and Patterson have actually got past him. So yeah, that's going to be
Oh, I definitely think he made a mistake because he was quite a little bit away from these guys and he's already closed back onto them. So he's obviously run wide and all 4 have got past or something like that has happened. But I'm sure he'll pick them back off again and get back in front.
Yeah, Kieran Patterson doing a good job. They are finally getting past Basson and Fasaki, and Basson now starting to slip back. Morgan McCall now putting pressure on him, and Basson finally, as you say, he's not the cork in the bottle anymore, and hopefully Kieran Patterson can get some fresh air, some clear air, and start to close up on Quay Claessens, who is only it's 5.6 seconds up the road, unfortunately. Yes,
quite a nice little battle. It'd be nice to try and get some footage of that. I see old Craig Eckhout and Charles Wilkin and Miller in a hell of a... here we go. Nice little battle going. Yeah, these guys are all very close. And just ahead of them is Richard van Colle in the Bentley. So this is some good racing here as well. Charles, obviously, as you know, started right at the back and he's done a great job. Obviously benefited from some guys getting knocked off circuit, but that's a great drive from last to 14th position. And up ahead of him is Eckhout in the Audi. And Eckhout's closed that gap because Van Colle had a bit of breathing space, but not anymore. So this is going to be interesting. We've spoken to Richard a few times because he's been on the podium where he's told us that, you know, he was struggling for grip late in the race. And this is that point, 16 minutes to go. Guys are going to start struggling to stop and turn their cars.
Well, one of my drives of the day certainly is Charles Wilkin. We know how difficult it is to make your way through the field here, and from all the way 30th position to 14th position, I mean, that is just sensational stuff. And it's not over yet. I mean, Charles has known to drive quite well. Here's the replay. This is what happened earlier on with McCall. He runs wide, they get to the sideways. Oh, touches the wall. That's going to be a little bit of damage, and that's all she wrote. He's now back at the back of the group, having to fight his way back.
Yes, that was so similar to, remember we saw the other Porsche doing that as well. Further back, what was it, down with Mumford, who did the exact same thing, put a wheel on the dirt there and managed to keep it straight. Not so lucky for Morgan. He obviously got a bit of a tank slapping into the wall. So thank you. Good job by our director giving us that info. Know what happened there. But this is getting really, really racing up. So we know Craigie Coach, previous race winner in Pro-Ams, he's got some good pace, and that Audi we know is going to be good on its tyres. This is where I worry what Charles got left, because he's obviously been carving his way through the traffic, sitting in a lot of dirty air, and we know everyone complains the Porsche runs through its tyres pretty hard, nothing left towards the end, so this could be quite interesting to see whether he's got anything to fight these guys with 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, 15 minutes of racing to go, and I mean, I cannot believe we've already done so much racing. 35 minutes and a bit already completed. I'm also looking at the race between third and fourth place here with Kadile and Webb, the two Mercedes-Benz cars. They are maintaining the gap between the two of them. Both drivers are absolutely at their maximum pace at the moment. I'm looking at the times here, and both of them are matching their fastest laps within tenths, and sometimes matching each other with intense or even exactly. So Jason's on the hunt, Kadil is on the defense, but both of them are doing fantastic jobs of maintaining the pressure and retaining that pressure. It's awesome to see. I mean, we spoke about this earlier on how difficult it is to be in whichever role. Some guys like the hunt, some guys like the run, but it's difficult either way, and both these guys are proving that they deserve to be here. Another person that certainly deserves to be here is the 80k driver, Bashir Jadwat, currently in second position. But there can be only one winner, and that winner so far looks like it's going to be Issa, who is 22 seconds up ahead.
What do you think? What do you think's happening with their tires right now, though, guys? Do you think they're struggling at this point or not?
Yeah, Issa's probably going to say his tires were shredded and he struggled.
But the cool thing for Zaire, he hasn't had to do anything. He's just had to circulate because of the battle was taken away. So I think he's fine. But just to go on what you were saying about the Mercs, I mean, Bruno doesn't have to worry about looking in his mirrors because Jason's still far enough behind. But Quade Claessens is who's closing up on Jason. So Jason's going to be under massive pressure. And I felt that would have happened a little bit sooner because we know Quade had the pace and got knocked out in that incident with Jason and the guys in the second last corner. But if you go back to that action in a few moments' time, you'll see that Quade will be all over the back of Jason. So Bruno, I think, has got it pretty safe. He's got a second gap over Jason, doesn't need to worry about his mirrors. But Jason's going to have his hands full in no time with a hard-charging Porsche.
Yeah, hard-charging indeed. And the thing is, there's pressure from all sides now, isn't it? He's going to have to make sure to apply pressure to Kadile, but Claessens is no slouch, and Claessens is clearly faster than him in that Porsche over here. So he's going to want to get up close and personal, and that's going to give Kadile some breathing room. So he's going to have to stay on his best pace to make sure to try and catch up.
Yeah, a nice little battle. We've gone back on board with Charles Wilkin, having a look at that from above, and right on the back is Donnie Miller outbraking himself, running really, really wide, keeping on the track though, which is good. But up ahead, Richard Van Colle as well. So, I mean, Charles is hoping. I mean, he could ultimately end up just outside the top 10 here, which would be an amazing drive from last place. But running out of time with 12 minutes to go.
I think he might get 2 places ahead. Other than that, I don't think he's going to climb any further.
No, that's it.
Yeah, the time really has gone quite fast there, but I'm sure inside the car for some of these guys, especially someone like Ecote over here, who's under pressure from the one and only Charles Wilkin, is the time is maybe moving a little bit slower than for most.
But hang on, let's have a look in 9th. It's 15 seconds, so that drops him right behind. So he could well be in with a top 10 finish if he can get ahead of Ecote and Van Colle, because at 15 seconds, he's going to drop the Son to the back of this little battle with Miller. So, all of these guys are definitely moving up a spot.
Yep, definitely. There is still a little bit of shuffling happening here and there. One of those shuffles could take place shortly. Charles Wilkin is trying to apply massive pressure to Ecote, and the crafty South African who has raced in various series, I'm sure, has a couple of tricks up his sleeve, at least for overtaking, as he now has another look on the Audi. The Audi runs a little bit wide there as they make their way down the straight, flat out here, 6th gear. over 250 kilometers an hour, hard into the braking zone. They're braking about the 100-meter mark over here. You can see the tire marks there down through the gears into first gear. You can see on the display there through the right-hander up into second now. On the downhill into third gear. Now into the left-hander. They're going to downshift from fourth gear into second gear for the sharp left-hander. And this is a double apex here. And as you can see, the Audi running wide, but then tucking back in again. Then they're going to tuck it in left to make it fast through the fast sweeper over here. Flat out now. Down towards what to me is one of the trickiest corners in motorsport. Keep it right, chuck it left, and hope you don't run wide. Over the curb they go. The car gets a little bit airborne. The front left wheel does lift up. The Eco getting a little bit squirrely now as Wilkin gets all the way onto that back bumper. Eco definitely starting to feel the pressure now.
Yeah, that was awesome to watch. There was some really good onboard through that fast roller coaster section. While we're watching this battle, I was just having a look at the timings, and Quaid's now within half a second of Jason, and Bruno's fine. He's nearly 2 seconds ahead of Jason now, so that's going to be massive if Jason can resist that. I don't think he's going to be able to in that Merc, so that'll be something to pick up on in a lap or two. But this is fantastic onboard action as well. What a great track, a real challenge and demanding for driver and car.
Because of watching the Pro Series, I've really got a new appreciation for circuits that don't allow overtaking, because the tactics involved are very, very real, and drivers need to strategize and use tactics and use pressure to try and get past the guy in front of them. And in the real world, and I hate using that term too often, but in the real world, you've got an actual 1.5-ton device that you can intimidate someone with. You don't have that here. So it's really interesting to watch how these guys strategize to get past drivers in front of them and apply pressure. As we can see here, Wilkin goes down the inside. All that pressure pays off. He gets the maneuver. Picture perfect stuff. Charles Wilkin up another position and dispatches of Eco now on the hunt for Van Coller.
Bizarre, because he literally just left the door right open and said to Charles, come right through. Charles wasn't even close. I was about to say to you, look at the Audi straight line speed, because he pulled a massive gap, but I think he just got in the brakes far too early and just didn't bother going defensive, because I think he thought Charles was so far back. But Charles, super aggressive and super late in the braking, and made it look like he was passing a back marker.
Maybe he thought he was a back marker.
No, he's had mirrors full for the last 5 or 6 laps. He knows exactly what battle he's in. But this is what I was talking about. Have a look. Quade Claessen's all over the back of Jason Webb now, and just up ahead is Bruno Cadile. So, I mean, Quade's hoping for a podium still here with 8 minutes to go, and it's something that could happen. It's just, what has the Porsche got in terms of tyre life? But I think Jason for sure is going to get picked off by the end of the straight.
Yep, this could be the moment here for Quade Claessen. Quade Claessen's systematically working his way onto the back bumper of that Mercedes-Benz. On board now with Quade. He's going to shift up into 6th gear. No, he doesn't. Not yet. Keeps it in 5th all the way to the end of the pit straight there. Jason runs a little bit wide there. Quade down the inside now. Jason's got the run on the downhill, but Quade coming up alongside. Under real pressure now is Jason Webb. These two guys they have been racing with each other this week, so they know each other's styles. Jason tries to go defensive there. He's on the outside now. They're going to go through a right-hander. He's got the inside for the right-hander, gets back in front, and Jason Webb maintains the position. I must say, Jason's racecraft, and I've spent a lot of time with him, obviously, but his racecraft is quite good when it comes to defending. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do. Having said that, Quade is exceptionally experienced in getting past other cars.
Well, listen, that was amazing.
Yeah, but Jason looks like he's backing with his car a little bit. If you watch how he can't keep a line, he's struggling to keep a line. So he keeps overshooting the corners, but I just don't think I think he's really struggling with handling at the moment.
100% as, but what's so cool to watch that combo is to just show people understanding why you want to be on the perfect racing line there, because the drive that Quade got out of that corner, out of turn 1, was perfect, which put him almost alongside Jason. But because Jason had to go defensive for the left-hander, he was always going to run out wide, which gave Quade a little sniff. So it's beautiful to watch that little chess piece unplay there as well, and people then realize why there is a perfect fast line through a corner. And if you're going defensive, you compromise your ultimate pace. But I think it's a matter of time. I think Quade would have liked to have got past him there. But Taz is right. Have a look how that Merc is squiggling all over the place. He's really battling to get traction.
Yeah, the Merc is a very loose car, but look at the pace difference there. The Mercedes-Benz pulling away onto the main straight. 240 40 kilometers an hour there is Quade Claessen's hard on the brakes there now, right up onto the back bumper of that Mercedes-Benz. Quade's best time is a 43.9. That's 0.6 of a second faster than Jason's best time. So he does have the out-and-out pace, and the Porsche, I'm sure, is also a little bit easier to drive around the circuit. The Mercedes-Benz all over the place. The thing about the Porsche is that it can bite. I think it's an easy car to drive fast, but it's the kind of car that punishes any sort of mistake, and it can punish you on a corner like this one over here. As they go over the bump, look at the Merc just grab that curb over there. The Porsche can't do the same, and Jason now forced once again to go defensive.
I think he's just going to have to be very clever with how he defends this. I mean, if he keeps his car really wide and slows it down in the corners to not let Claessen's get a good run on him, I think he'll have this under control. But like I said, he's just got to be really, really smart about where he slows it down and how wide he keeps that car in front.
Yeah, but the Mercedes-Benz is a big, intimidating car. The Porsche, though, is a very fast, nimble car. And this is really a battle of those two things. You've got the guy in front that has to defend and has to not make any mistakes. It's so easy to not make a mistake if you're chasing versus trying to not make mistakes while you're being chased. And Jason Webb, we saw earlier on, running a little bit wide. He can't afford to do that again as they now go into the final corner onto the main straight. The Porsche not yet within striking distance, but as you so rightly pointed out earlier, Marius, with just 4 minutes to go, this is where the Porsche could make the move. Up into
that Merc's just got great straight line speed though, so that's obviously what's helping Jason in the situation. But I just see Basson, besides his 15-second penalty, has plummeted down the standings, so he's got a drive-through penalty as well.
Oh,
and
no.
I think that Wilkin got past Craig Eckert, so we were watching that battle a little bit earlier on. So he's got past there, and he's now chasing down Van Colle in the Bentleys, or half a second behind him there. So some good infield battles going on here with 4 minutes to go in the race. This is how we like it. Grandstand finishes ATK Pro Series style every single race.
Every time, and even
Last
when
10 minutes.
last 10 minutes, even if in the last 12 minutes nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening up until 11 minutes, 10 minutes and 1 second. 10 minutes time. Here we go. Let's race. It's like these guys finally put their visors down.
It's almost like they reset the sprint race kind of thing, and then they get going again.
Yeah. Well, this certainly looks like a sprint. This certainly looks like a sprint race here as we go on board with that Ishal Wilkin down the bottom there in your bottom screen. But the race on top is between Claessen's and Webb for fourth position. Webb in the lead in front at the moment. Claessen's putting immense pressure on him, and Webb absorbing it for now. Can he maintain though as they go into the final complex here? This is the last section before they come across the line. 3 minutes of racing left, so that gives us approximately 2 and a bit laps, depending on what the leader does, to do. So probably 2 or 3 laps of this ahead.
Two things, yeah. Well done, Jason Webb, for obviously defending like he is. But he can be thankful that he's at Hungaroring, because I think any other track that Porsche would have blitzed him long ago. But, you know, he's fast where he needs to be, which is on the straight, and that's where the Porsche is struggling to live with him. Like we spoke about it earlier, because of the follow my leader nature of the circuit, the fast and flowing, you don't need to go look in your mirrors, because you just got to put your car in the right place. There's no ways the guy can get past you unless he's doing something stupid and smashing into you. And I think that's what Jason's doing really well. It must be frustrating for Quade knowing that he's got the quicker car. Equally, it's going to be pretty similar for Charles Wilkin below, getting on the back of Richard Van Colle in that Bentley, because that Bentley is also going to be a wide, difficult car to pass.
Yeah, Richard Van Colle, let's see if he's able to hold off the wily Charles Wilkin. Charles, we saw earlier doing a fantastic overtake into turn 1. He does gain quite a bit of ground there into turn 1. But who isn't gaining ground is Quade Claessen's at the moment. He's got nowhere else to go except through Jason Webb, and he's certainly going to try and get past him now with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. It is the last 2 minutes or so of racing, folks. I can't believe we've come to this point. The racing has been thick and fast, and now we've got 2 battles happening on track for position.
Yeah, listen, it's interesting watching these things. I'm like, I need extra eyes. So I'm trying to multitask on everything that's going. But it's great to see you at the end. And I think because of this track, I think both of them are going to end up holding position. But I mean, Jason's doing a fantastic job, because Quade's put him under all sorts of pressure. But it's Charles that I think might get the move done on Richard. But a minute to go. This is kind of their last chance.
Yeah, minute to go. This is their last chance, and this is the last lap. They are coming up into the last lap. Essa, in case anybody's forgotten, is already on the last lap. He's about to finish his lap. But Jason Webb and Claessen's this time much closer than early on, right on the bumper where we could have the slipstream here. Jason's going to have to go defensive into the first corner, or will he? So far, so good. Both of them pretty much the same speed. This time he's in the slipstream. You can see the speed now as they go into the first corner. Jason goes defensive into the first corner. He's going to keep it tight. Charles going to try and do, Quade's going to try and do the undercut now. It's
Brilliant.
not working.
Well done. That was well done. Eh? He actually nailed that exit, even though he went defensive. That's brilliant. I think that's pretty much done. There's no other place for me on the circuit where Quade can get the move done. So hats off. Brilliant driving by Jason Webb. Fantastic.
So far, so good. It's not over yet. I'm still nervously watching on here. They've still got about half a lap or so to go. And as I said, I know these guys, both of them quite well. They've raced together just this week, and both of them are exceptionally competitive and fast. But so no love lost here between these two that know each other, as we now look on at Zahir Essa coming towards the final corner. He's got some cars in front of him. He's not going to be too bothered about that. Jason makes a mistake further back through the S's there, but it's still okay. He's still in front. But the winner of your 80K Pro Series Pro Division is none other than Zahir Essa. Across the line he goes, takes another win in what looks like a runaway season for Zahir Essa. The man who's got single-seater racing experience has done it again. And Bashir Jadwat taking up second place. Cross the line. And Quade Claessens has a look down the outside. Jason Webb tries to close the door. What's going to happen? This is a race to the finish. The second corner. Jason closes the door again. We've got another car coming into the mix over there. Patterson in the mix over there. Into the final corner we go now, guys. This is for position. Fifth place in with Quade Claessens over here. Jason Webb in fourth. Webb gets it. But Kadile goes unnoticed in third position there. Well done to him, bringing the first of the Mercedes-Benz home. What a race. What a race.
Oh, that was
What a finish, more like. What a finish.
Yeah, Jason Webb. And if those guys were in those cars, they'd be looking at each other, wagging their fingers at each other, going, that was a good race, my friend.
Yeah.
That was a good race.
No, listen, Quade never gave up, and trying around the outside, he was in with a chance. But I mean, listen, Jason moved across perfectly to seal off any opportunity for a nose up the inside. That was brilliant to watch. Well done.
Now the tires on, just getting some inside information here, tires are back for the Porsche, and that's what happened there. The tires of the Porsche actually came back on in the second half of that race as we get on board with Wesley Hampson just coming in behind King there. He's going to be a little bit disappointed. I think he got pushed back the order after a couple of incidents there. I think he should have done a bit better than that, is Hampson. But a person that is very happy is definitely going to be Essa up front again, as always. But we're going to finish up now and come back to the results in a couple of minutes as we watch Byron Walker park his car there. Well done to all of these guys. We'll see you guys after this. Jason Webb enjoying some donuts there. We'll see you soon.
Let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me
So now we're saving. I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. He had to slip down all the way to turn one and breaking it down. All these lanes gonna tell you what I did and they twisting their words till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move from my car. So finally back in my home. I'm working and I start off. That's why I had me a drum. Two hands for my soul. Keep me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great strap and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy now, mate. That's good. Settle down.
And we are back with your podium, and it looks a little something like this. With nice to see an unfamiliar face on the podium there, Marius.
Unfamiliar who?
Slightly unfamiliar. He's been our driver of the day, but it's nice to see him mixing it up with the top three over here. I'm just trying to make some conversation because we know Zahir is the one again, okay?
No, listen, I think the racing for me today was the battle for 4th and 5th. There was some fantastic stuff to watch. But again, I mean, Jason, we've ended up in that position because of incidents that happened earlier on. But Bruno, for me, fantastic, because like we mentioned right at the beginning of the race, to be consistently in the top 5, scoring points always. Now he's on the podium in that Merc. He's been on the podium in the Merc a few times now as pros, in a car that we know is affected big time by the balance of performance.
Yeah.
He's not running in the Porsches and he's not running in the Audi. So for him, that consistency is amazing. That's a great result for him in 3rd place. And that's probably my driver of the day, I think, because it's in the car that's not meant to be winning. It's not meant to be on the podium. Bash, I know, will be happy with his seconds. They will be overjoyed that the internet ended Jordan's battle, because I don't think Zay would have won today.
Look, Zahir Issa did get the benefit of an incident that happened earlier on, and you know, you can't take anything away from Zahir Issa's skill, but we were all left a little bit disappointed there, because I think it would have been a good tussle between him and Jordan, and Jordan's craft, man, to be able to pull out of the pit lane, do one lap, set pole, go back into the pits, pull up another lap and go faster still. He had supreme confidence going into this race, and to see him and his brother get disconnected like that was disappointing, but quite shocking as well in a lot of ways.
Well, I think that's what's most frustrating, is you spend so much time putting in all this effort and time to get fast, and you're that confident going into the race weekend that you don't even have to go in at the beginning of qualifying. You stick it on pole after doing one lap and boom, it all gets taken away from you. So I think he's probably one of the most frustrated people right now, humans right now. And yeah, it will be nice to see him come back in the next race, but I don't know if he'll be able to fight for the championship after this.
Sure, we were just talking about that earlier on, how he was in it for a potential championship spot based on throwaway racing. And he's now got another 0-point score, which is not going to be ideal. But we are now talking about winners, at least today. And the top 3 guys look like this. Essa on top in 1st place, Bashir Jadwat with a fantastic run there. And I think we've got Bruno Kadile coming into the commentary booth to come have a chat with us. And as you say, Marius, he certainly is in the conversation, Bruno, that is for driver of the day.
No, listen, I mean, that's super impressive. I mean, that Merc we know isn't the fastest car on all the circuits. So to be scoring maximum points like he's done has been brilliant. Bruno, you joining us?
How's it? Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Must be stoked, eh?
I'm happy, but yeah, I think a little bit lucky as well. You know, there was unfortunately three disconnects of big names, but then after that, it was good racing. It was fantastic to be in the pack for once. You know, racing for the podiums, and I got a bit lucky, but yeah, super happy, just over the moon. You know, finally to race for the top positions again. It's great.
Yeah, we've been mentioning throughout the day's racing now that, you know, it's easy to be doing it in cars that are dominant, but, you know, balance of performance doesn't really suit the Merc in most of the circuits. So that's what's really impressed me, like probably from about the 3rd race on, where you've just got super consistent, and you're always in the top 5 there and thereabouts, and that's impressive in that car. So I mean, that for me is a standout performance. Doesn't help though, it looked like we were watching the racing further back with Jason and Quade Claessens. The Merc, as we know, quick in a straight line. It seemed to help in that situation where you know you've got the straight line speed, so you can basically negate the one main overtaking opportunity, which is into turn 1. Get good drive out the corner and you're fine.
Yeah, it is quite quick on the straights. I just wish it was a little bit better in the corners, because that's especially traction out of the corners. That seems where the Porsche balances it out. But yeah, we go into tracks where you know, it suits the car a bit better, and I'm hoping to do a little bit better than I did today. But yeah, this was a bit unexpected. I think I should have been maybe just outside the top 5, but to be in the podium, I'm over the moon. And when we go to the faster tracks, hopefully you can see a little bit more of me.
Happy days. Well done, Bruno. It was brilliant racing, mate. Good job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Wow, so he's super surprised by that result. But like we mentioned earlier, no surprise from our perspective. He's been super consistent. But nice to get an honest opinion from people too. Hey, Taz, I mean, that's how it goes in racing sometimes. You know, when the race gods are shining on you, you make the most of it.
Yeah, I think you have to have a bit of luck sometimes, and as a racing driver, it doesn't always go your way. But when it does go your way, you got to take it and you got to accept it, and you got to be happy about it. You know, there's a lot of times that you have bad luck, but the days that you have good luck is even better. So I think Kadili did really well. He raced a good race. He's been consistent, and I think he deserves a podium finish.
Indeed, he definitely deserves it. And as he mentioned, we saw at Monza how fast these cars were. So I'm keen to see what happens with the next round. And we know that the next round is Bathurst. And Bathurst has got some very, very long straights. Will the Merc perform there? We're going to have to wait and see. I'm keen to see.
I look at that track and I go, there's no ways. This is a Merc, a Porsche and an Audi circuit, and we know the Bentley won this year with your brother Taz, but I mean that was obviously in an endurance race. But out and out pace, you know, to be able to get that car to turn through the top section at Bathurst, you need a car that handles really, really well. Yes, there's a long straight, but I think it's going to be an Audi dominant track in my opinion, because the Audi seems to be the balanced package here. But I know Bash is going to be joining us in second place. Quite a quiet race. I mean, he was fully involved in massive battles with Jason and the guys, and found himself scoring maximum positions. Bash, quite an aggressive move on Jason into that right-hander. Was that good? Happy with that? All fair?
Yeah, I enjoyed that battle with Jason. He left just the car's width for me. He was parking it in the middle of the track. Yeah. So I faked as if I'm going on the outside, and I dived on the inside. It looked like a clean move, but then the next corner, he says he had a bit of trouble with his braking. The car was skating. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate that we couldn't get to fight further on, because I think it would have been a battle to the end.
I hope that's the case. I mean, I'll chat to Jason as well, because it looked like he just didn't bother braking and just used a brake marker. So I thought maybe he was a bit grumpy, because there was contact between the two of you. You obviously
it was slight contact, but I know Jason's not. He's not an aggressive driver like that. He wouldn't just get upset for that. So yeah, it was a good battle. I think obviously something went wrong on his side, but I saw it coming and I just turned out of it. Still got a bit of damage in the front, so I had a bit of front end wash after that, but there was nothing I could do really to close into Zaire. Up until that point, I think he already had a 15 or 12 second gap. So yeah, I just maintained what I could after that.
Well, Bash, I'm glad to see that you've got your elbows out now and that you're getting a bit more aggressive out there. It's nice to see you getting involved with tussles. And I mean, there was only a car width over there in the inside of that corner, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, when there's a gap, you gotta go for it. I thought I tried it a few laps before. I was faking it, seeing which way we'd go, but he was parking his car nicely in the center of the track. But that lap, he had a really poor exit through the corner before. So I faked as if I was going on the outside, and I just went for it on the inside, and there was enough green there. So it was a bit of a block pass, but yeah, it worked. No, there was still a bit of gap on the end for him as well to come back.
Bash, that's what we were talking about. I mean, at a track like this, where there literally is just the one known place for overtaking turn one, you really need to be super aggressive on a pass like that. And a lot of the time, you can actually not worry about looking in your mirrors, because, you know, you just put the car in the right place through the super tube section. You know, no one can make a pass, and if they do, they probably have made a mistake.
You know, yeah, absolutely. You have to wait on a mistake for you to do anything on this track, especially in the middle sector. Yeah. And on the straight, I just couldn't get close enough to have a dive into turn one. The cars were pretty evenly matched. Yeah, but I mean, I really enjoyed the battle with Jason. It was super awesome to battle with, you know, a good clean guy.
Well done, Bashir Jadwat. As I said, it's nice to see you elbows out. It's nice to see you giving it back to the guys a little bit, and certainly nice to see you on pace as always. Well done on that second place finish. Still in the championship contention there. just losing out 3 points today. So Bashir Jadwat doing well to get that podium finish and keep Zahir Issa well within striking distance. Now that he doesn't have to worry about Jordan Shedid for the championship, I think it's pretty much going to be a two-way race at this stage of the game. Another person that we haven't really spoken about, that's our winner, Zahir Issa. I mean, again, off into the distance he goes and does what he does best, leads from the front and takes another win. Zahir Issa, I've heard rumors that you've got new pedals. Is it the pedals making you so fast these days, or what's going on?
I wish it was so. The pedals are still coming.
Okay.
I did get new pedals, but I didn't install them yet.
Okay.
I had a couple issues with them, so hopefully this week. But this was all the old G25 pedals, yeah.
Well, if you're this fast with the G25, I feel sorry for the rest of the guys when you get your load cell pedals. What was that like? I mean, Shedid just disappeared from the race. What was going through your mind when that happened?
I was obviously, you got it for them because, like, you're so amped for this race. It's like lap 1, and it was all set up for a cracker of a race, and then suddenly, you know, people just disappear, and all of a sudden I'm all alone. So it really sucked. It really did.
You know what? I'm glad. That's what we love chatting to you, because I mean, like, you as a racing driver, you understand it, the frustration.
So, dude, I was so keen because I mean, the Audi was. You could see he had a lot of advantage on this track. I think it was the curbs. You could just ride the curbs and just carry on driving straight when we had to avoid them. And I found a bit of time in my race pace, quite a bit, on a bit of something. I'm not going to say what. And I was very interested. I was up for a battle with him because I was very interested to see where we would be at the end of the race. So I think I found a bit extra, and there was going to be a good battle, man.
Yeah.
Disappointing. You know?
But
that's racing. What can you do?
You must never take, like, I mean, we were all like, oh no, okay, I'm logging out, I'm going home. And that's like, we take nothing away from you. We try to say that again, like, take nothing away from Zahir and what he does, the consistency, the pace. You know, you've got a great internet connection too, which obviously
that helps.
Which helps. But seriously, take nothing away. I mean, you win because you deserve to win. You know, and I love the fact that you also look at it and go, man, I would have loved the battle. I'm amped for it. I want to go and race. And that for me is what makes a racing driver. You don't want to be flipping cakewalking everything. You want the battle.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it can happen to anyone. Like, I'm waiting for it to happen to me. I had like bad vibes coming into this race. I was all over the place with my consistency and whatnot before because I didn't have time to really practice. I was busy with other stuff. And look, it all came together on race day, and I was amped for a battle, but it's down to luck at the end of the day. So, look, it could be his day. I mean, my day today. It could be his day on another day. You know, anything can happen. So it's your luck. What can you do?
Well, in the words of Murray Walker, it's not enough to be lucky. You've got to be good. And I mean, you clearly are. And it does seem to me like you do make a lot of your own luck. And you know, going race to race, the cards fall in your favor. And what do you attribute that to? Because, I mean, yeah, what do you attribute that to? Because you do seem to get the good starts. You seem to get away, and once you get that clear air, you're gone. What is your secret, Mr. Issa?
There's no secret. It's just to keep your nose clean, be sensible about your starts. Like, if a guy is you put your car in the right place, if he does a bit more, there's nothing you can do about a move. Don't overdo it and take both of you out. Sort of thing. Just relax, and then the race is 50 minutes, and pace yourself. Obviously, the pace is hot. Don't sit back doing nothing, but just be sensible. I guess that's just the only thing.
I think these guys can learn a lot from you, Zahir. So well done on that win. Another win under the belt, and another couple of points taken towards that championship extension there, Zahir Issa, our first place man. Well done again, Zahir. We look forward to seeing you at the next race. And Bathurst, can you confirm something for us? Are the Porsches good at Bathurst? And please be honest.
The Audi's good there, and the Mercs are actually better than the Audis. So, Merc guys, you have no excuses. I'm telling you.
Seriously, there, because I mean, I look at it, but again, this is the difference. I look at it in the real world, and I kind of go, Porsche, Audi are great there. But I mean, we don't know how Assetto Corsa works, because it's like, I know there's a long straight, but it just doesn't feel like a circuit where the Merc's going to stop and turn, and especially the squigglies up top. Guys all moaning about getting traction out of out of corners and being able to hold on to it. So I said it's an Audi circuit for me for sure, from what I've seen with ACC. But interesting that you're calling Merc on pace here.
Oh, it's definitely Merc, because I had a race a couple of months ago and I actually chose the Merc because it was just so dominant. But the next 3 tracks are quite big tracks, so the Porsche is going to really struggle. Yeah. But I'm up for battle, you know. I think we've got the Porsche tracks out the way, so now the other guys, it's their turn to come to the fore.
Yeah, it's nice to know that, and you've got enough points to be able to battle. I think you've got enough points in hand to maybe take some risks here and there. You haven't had any zero finish races, so I mean, I'm really looking forward to Bathurst. It's one of those tracks that it's iconic, and hopefully one of you guys can put together a Brock-style lap of the gods. We look forward to that. Zahir Issa, well done on your performance today, as always, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Zahir Issa, your winner. And next round, we are going to Bathurst. We're going down under, guys. I hope the weather's good there. I know that Bathurst sometimes has rain, but we'll have to see what the ATK gods have in store for us at the next round.
Oh, it's my favorite track. Having a chat to the drivers at last year's Kyalami 9 Hour, and you ask them favorite tracks. Every single one of them has Bathurst in there because it's the risk versus reward. That top mountain over Mount Panorama section, it's fully no runoff. The walls right up close, then the open traditional track layout. It's a real driver's circuit. So I'm super excited for 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, that.
Well, I know it's my next round as well with W Series, and let's just say I can't complete a lap without putting it in the wall.
Look, at least you can complete a lap in the real world. We know that about you. And you won. Did you do really well at one of the sim races recently?
I did, but then the next event wasn't so good.
We don't talk about the next one. We don't talk about the next one. We talk about the good ones. But Bathurst certainly is something to look forward to. We now need to discuss our drivers of the day. Bruno Cadile up there, Jason Webb up there. Who do you guys have? We got, of course, our man down the bottom that made his way all the way through, Charles Wilkin. So who do you guys have for your drivers of the day so far?
Taz, do you want to go?
I'd probably say Kadile, just because he's just consistent and, you know, he's there and he's finally just got his podium. But Jason Webb as well, he drove a really good race. Scholl came up really well did he start in the pits or did he start at the back of the grid?
He started at the back because he had a qualifying penalty, so he couldn't qualify.
Okay.
So I think he started at the back.
Yeah, so I mean, he did really well to come up as far as he did. And yeah, I think McCall, he did really well, but I think it would be between Gadili, Webb, and Wilkins for me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my top 3 too, but I'm going to go with Jason Webb because I think the amount of pressure that he was under was proper. And again, we know it's a car that isn't ideally suited to the circuit. And I think he also needs a bit of luck. I mean, yes, he's had a bad run with stuff out of his control, and this was a race that kind of saw him scoring a few positions with people pulling out. But yeah, I love Jason's style. I think it was great.
Same here. Well, we're going to wind things up now as we go into the next round. We're first waiting for those updated standings, and then we're going to see exactly what happened. Yeah, this is what it looks like at the moment, and a 20-point gap now between Essa and Jadwat, with Morgan McCall up 1 position. Oliphant there, the big loser here, down from 3rd to 4th position. And further down the field, everybody basically staying similar. Kadile up to 5th place now for Saki in 6th. Jason Webb, we saw earlier on, was down in 13th. He's now in 14th position. So far, the deck has pretty much stayed the same, but it's nice to see Morgan McCall, the ATK Academy driver, in 3rd place in the championship. Just a phenomenal performance from him so far.
The checkered Basson, I mean, that's a jump of 20 positions, you know, so he's also suddenly out of nowhere been pretty quick down there in 23rd place. That's a big jump up. But yeah, I mean, 20 odd points, 21 points in it for the championship. Remember, Zay's going to be throwing away, but Jadwad's also hasn't really had any bad races, so both of them are going to be throwing away equal amounts of of points. But yeah, I think that's it for Jordan. I mean, we see him moving up one position, but I mean, come on, that's just because other guys also bailed out of it. But he's just had too many 0 pointers now. I think he's had three overall. Two technical like this that have been not being able to log into the game and getting hoofed out of the game. So yeah, I just think that's unfortunately good night for him. But yeah, hopefully he can still finish strong with some results that he deserves. I mean, he should be sitting right at the top.
Indeed. But there's only one man right on the top, and that is Zahir Issa with that 20-point or just about 20-point lead there. Is there going to be anybody that's going to be able to take him to that top spot? Jordan Sherritt certainly is the guy that can ruffle things up a little bit. He's not in for the championship, but certainly if I was Bashir Jarwat, I'd try and ask him to make some trouble up front there.
I was just about to say, I think Jadwat's not out of this just yet, to be fair. He's only, 19 points behind. 21 points behind. Sorry, my math is bad. 21 points behind, and he's going to be dropping a little bit less than what Zia is. And so if he can start winning some races, I think he's in for the top step of the podium.
Certainly in it for sure. I mean, he's not out of it, but time is running out. We're way past the halfway mark now. We're one race past the halfway mark. Something needs to shift soon for Bashir Jarwat. He's going to want to get that top spot. He is a champion in sim racing. So I think he's going to want to win another championship again. Well, folks, I'm just getting the word in my ear here that we are going to be winding things down. That is it from us here. Of course, today could not be possible without our sponsors, Elgato, Corsair. We've got Logitech joining us for the first time today, and AMD making sure all our kit runs perfectly. Of course, today also brought to you by Kyalami 9 Hour and Motorsport South Africa. The ATK Pro Series is the premier series in South Africa at the moment, and this is where the best sim racers come together to find out who's the best one. Today, the best one was Zahir Issa. Next time, that could be different. See you guys at Bathurst, and see you guys down under.